Hey everyone, and welcome back to our DC Films podcast. This is episode 31. This episode's probably be a pretty big one. We're about a week removed from Comic-Con. And so there's a lot of stuff going on that happened at Comic-Con that we're going to be discussing. But before we get started, I kind of want to address the elephant in the room, as you will. For anyone who's followed me on social media in the last 24 hours, I made a fairly big announcement on my Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you guys haven't heard the news, my wife and I are expecting our first child.
Yay!
Awesome!
So amazing.
That is so exciting. And I have to say, your video that you put out was like the most adorable thing ever.
It was awesome.
So I was like, oh! You made
Yeah,
me
so
melt.
we found out it was 2 weeks after our actual wedding that we had found out, and
Wow.
yes, we found out right away, cause so my wife took the initial test. It was one of those cheap little ones that has the two lines, but so she took it, and then the second line you can barely see. So she's so she wasn't originally gonna tell me, but she couldn't tell if the test was positive or not. So she brought it to me and was like, hey, can you see this? And I'm like, I can kind of sort of see it. I didn't think it was going to say positive. So she took another one that was an actual legit pregnancy test we had got. And it said positive, and of course you guys can see our reaction in the video. But
Yeah, that was awesome.
But yeah, so she's 12 and a half weeks, and the due date's February 2nd of next year, so
Yay!
we're really excited.
Yay!
That is awesome.
Hey, baby.
And I hate to say this, but from a practical standpoint, your wife did it right, because she'll go through the winter in her, latest trimester, and it'll spare her from the heat. Because I can tell you, there's nothing more miserable than being severely pregnant and severely hot. So she did very well.
Yeah, because right now, we're kind of struggling here in San Diego. It's we're not as hot as some other parts of the country, but it's been in the 80s and 90s for the last few weeks, and so it's been.
I'm sitting here in my 100-degree weather. You poor baby.
Hey, we have AC, so we at least have that.
Oh well, now you guys know how I feel the whole year round. I used to feel the same.
So back to to DC Film Stock. So at Comic-Con this past weekend, so big trailers dropped. There was footage for Wonder Woman 1984 that has been officially released, so we aren't really going to be talking about that. There was obviously.
Footage?
Yeah, there was footage at Hall H, but it wasn't released online or anything, so that we can't. There's nothing to talk about.
Boy, I didn't even know about this. Oh my god.
And I was actually there. I was there on for anyone who reads up on my social media or anything. I was there on the floor at Comic-Con. I didn't go to Hall H, but I do volunteer for Comic-Con now, and so I'm able to get in for free. And so all that means I just volunteer for 3 hours a day for each day I want to go, and then have the rest of the day to do whatever. And Saturday I hung out at the DC booth for a couple of hours, waiting for the Aquaman and Shazam's cast to show up, and they did. And so when the trailer first dropped, I was still waiting at the DC booth. I hadn't seen it yet. Everyone's talking about the Aquaman trailer and the Shazam trailer. I'm just waiting patiently, because last year I did the same thing at the DC booth for the Justice League panel and the Justice League cast, and my phone died, so I didn't even know when the trailer had dropped at that point. So I'm waiting around, and then they dropped the Justice League trailer last year, and then this time around, the cast shows up first, which isn't what happened last year. Cast shows up first. Patrick Wilson walks out. No one recognizes him. No one says, "Hey, Patrick."
What?
And I felt kind of bad for him. I'm like, "Aw."
Oh.
So I yell his name. I'm like, "Hey, Patrick!" He looks so down at me and waves back at me. So that was kind of cool. And then Abdul Mateen, who plays Black Manta, walks out next. And same thing, no one really immediately recognizes him. So I yell his name, and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up? How's it going?" I'm like, "Good." He's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Hey, it's Nick." So we have this brief chat. He's asked me what I thought of the suit, and I said, "Oh, it's awesome, man. Can't wait to see it." But yeah, so I interacted with Black Manta, so that was pretty cool.
Hi.
And then the rest of the cast walked out.
Moving up in the world.
This seems really cool. All of his Twitter stuff and just his general presence. He looks like a fun guy. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to see you just own Black Mantis.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. I didn't get into like interaction with any of the other cast, but I did see the cast of the rest of the cast of Aquaman. I did see the rest of the cast of Shazam, so that was really cool. Just being like up there and in person. Even my issues with Zachary Levi, like I put that away for a couple of seconds to be like, oh hey, like the actor who's playing Shazam is like right in front of me. So that was cool. And while I was there, I did see the Aquaman trailer in person, so it was cool seeing being there like with a crowd of people. I did film my reaction. It's up on my YouTube channel if you guys haven't seen it. So since to kind of segue into that, since I already kind of gave my brief thoughts on the trailer in my own video, if you guys want to go ahead and give your thoughts on the Aquaman trailer, because that's probably gonna be the biggest part of the conversation. If you guys want to go ahead and share your thoughts on what you thought of it.
Okay, I mean, firstly, I'm just gonna say outright that I was gonna enjoy this trailer no matter what. Like, I was determined to enjoy it, and that's like the way I approach so many of these movies that I might have doubts about nowadays, because it's like, it's not that I'm gonna blind myself to any criticism, but it's like, I strongly want to like these things, and especially Aquaman, which I already love the cast, I love what they're doing with it, and I thought it was fantastic. I'll just say that I have a small problem with it, which is the visual effects. Which is like, the visual effects are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, they look great, but you know, they still do have that sort of shiny CGI-ness that we haven't like technology hasn't really reached that point where it looks 100% believable yet. And so it has that shiny texture to it that you know, kind of like makes it hard to believe. And like, it's a bit distracting when you're seeing so much of it in one trailer. I mean, it's something that the movie can't escape, but I'm just worried that, you know, it'll be something that takes me out of the movie while I'm watching it eventually. You know, but like,
I think
because it just keeps reminding me that these are visual effects and not just like, I don't know, like just the thing itself.
I see. I know what you're talking about, Gene. Like, looking at it, I kind of felt the same way. But I think if the whole movie is going to be like that, or like most of the movie is going to be in that kind of environment, then I'm going to like visually acclimate to it. I don't think it's going to bother me when
eventually,
I see the movie. And Al says, I thought the trailer was fantastic. It applied much of what I wanted from Wonder Woman without sacrificing some elements from Zack's vision.
I have to agree with that.
I think it's a two W's, so I think it's Wonder Woman, but like, I don't know what else.
No, that's Wonder Woman. I think. There's another 2W I don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, what else could 2 W's be? Al says yes.
Wonder Woman.
So yes, he does.
Okay, sorry for anyone listening. Al is Amber this week.
I was gonna do that in intros, and then we didn't do intros. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's the first time we didn't do intros. Okay, sorry everyone.
It's okay, we got a little excited. They know who we are by now. If they don't, then, you know, why are you here?
Yeah.
So,
You're in for a ride if it's your first time.
I will say, like, I really enjoyed the trailer. I don't know, like, maybe it's because I'm viewing it on a smaller screen. I admit I watched it on my tablet, and, you know, it's much smaller, so the CGI thing didn't bother me as much. But I do understand that, like, on a bigger screen it might be far more prevalent. But I don't know, like, this is like the last, because I don't really count the Flash film, which doesn't even seem to be doing anything. This seems to be like the last one that is going to have kind of Zack's DNA on it at all. And James is just, I'm really liking his stuff, you know. And so, and then you add Jason in there, and I admit, I'm like, I'm still angry at WB. I probably always will be, and so every new one, I'm like, whatever. But, you know, then I see the trailer, and I'm like, dang it, I knew I was going to get sucked into this one, you know, and it just looks great. It looks wonderful. I cannot wait to see it. It looks like a wild ride with some really amazing effects, and it looks like he's bringing, you know, I mean, it's got some funny lines and stuff. I loved the redheads, you gotta love them thing. I thought that was adorable. But at the same time, it doesn't look like it's just a joke a minute. It's not going to let the dramatic moments breed, you know, and it just, yeah, and you could get little traces of James Wan's horror film background in there, and I was like, ooh, and, you know, it just really, really got me excited, and not because I think it's going to be a Zack film, because it's entirely James, as you can tell. But like Al's saying, and he's right, Juan and Zack work close together as to how Aquaman would look, and it just feels like they both have kind of the same line of, yes, this character is going to be an awesome badass, and and it just, I don't know, it looks really good. So that one got me really, really excited.
Yes, I'm completely on board with like what you just said, and that's the thing about these movies and humor, which is that a lot of people just seem to forget, movies can be funny. It's fine. It's fine for these movies to be funny. It's just that, priorities, like, even all the best of the movies, people are funny sometimes, if we're gonna be, if we're gonna,
movies,
if we're gonna pretend that, Justice League, the Justice League that we got is the Justice League we're gonna be stuck with, which, okay, let's not think about that.
Wow, man, that hurt me.
Yeah, if we're gonna go with that, then like, Aquaman is funny. You can't just do with him what you like. You have to maintain some kind of continuity, and like, I mean, this is a fair one. He makes jokes. He's a human being. He's funny sometimes.
And he's Jason to such an extent. Like he's got that kind of, I don't know, wild sensibility in some ways, and it's just like,
soft man.
I don't know, he's, that's how he deals with life, and I'm like, okay, and I agree. I've always enjoyed comedy in films. That's one thing that's always attracted me, but it really frustrated me a lot when the DCEU got crapped on entirely because where's all the jokes? It's not funny, and that became the only standard that anybody measured it for, And then it was, well, how come they're not funny like Marvel? And Marvel has gone so far over the line of comedy that I'm like, dude, you kind of ruined it. I mean, comedy is good, but only comedy and crammed into every tiny millisecond you can get is too much, and you have finally reached that point. So it's weird, because I agree, people can be funny, people are funny, and I have never been against comedy, but wow, Marvel just kind of ruined that for me. So yeah, but I agree, I don't mind this one having funny moments in it. It doesn't bother me at all. It just seems to fit. Okay, I do like what Al brought up, because I was thinking that as well. James Wan said, a couple days ago, I think, that he contacted them when Zack was working on Justice League and said, please don't go to Atlantis. If I'm going to do the Aquaman film, I want to be the first to introduce that world, and kind of do that. And Zack was like, yeah, sure, I wouldn't bony like that, and did not. And so, I don't know. I just really, really appreciate the fact that they worked so closely, and Zack just has never seemed to be, but it's so nice again to get just kind of confirmation that he likes to work with people and isn't all about himself and just being like, well, that's tough, too bad, I'm doing it anyway. It just, I don't know, it really speaks well of him, and I loved that they were working that closely together, and that James I agree with James, if I was doing that movie, I'd be like, I don't know, I want to be the one to deduce that, and so the tiny bits that we get from the Mother Box struggle and that kind of thing are probably on the outskirts of Atlantis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'll bet you, in Zack's version, there's never any kind of, I'm going into Atlantis and everybody look at all the beauty and grandeur and amazing stuff, because that was reserved for James's version, and that's just really cool.
Yeah. And okay.
I just want to say that. Wait a sec. No, that I really like the trailer because it doesn't use Arthur as a punchline, or I think that James Wan is taking his story very seriously. He's taking the world of Atlantis very seriously, and I really enjoy the effects, the balance between having Jason be his charming self and tell jokes and the stuff, but also leaving him room to deliver a dramatic performance.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
I think I think that was a really nice thing. I don't know, it was something that I didn't expect, and also I really like the scene where little Arthur discovers his powers communicating with the
Gosh,
fish.
yes.
And it reminded me a lot of that scene in the first Harry Potter where he talks with a snake.
Yes. Yeah.
I knew it
It reminded me a lot.
Yep.
It reminded me a lot of that, and I mean, James took that joke of he only talks to fish, and made it something super important to his character and his development. So I think that was really nice.
And not only
It was
important,
excellent.
but like there's a little bit of that scary element to it again, I mean, that's a little bit scary. I'd be with the rest of the kids going, I think I'm going to back up now. A shark just cracked a glass and I'm scared,
That was such an amazing scene.
That was really cool. And also you could see like, that it's not that like thanks Al. Sorry. He just put no more of this and put up the gif of Aquaman, the cartoon, riding the little flying fish. Anyway, but agreed. But you can also see that moment. Yes, he's bullied and picked on, but that's a moment of confidence where he suddenly has something that other people don't, And yeah, I cannot wait to see this movie, honestly, for that kind of depth. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, ooh, I cannot wait for this, So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And also, like, Jango Fett is his dad. I'm down with this. So, hit me, I'm like, awesome! That was just perfect. So
how did I not notice any of that?
that was cool, and I got really excited when I saw that. DCEU loves bullies. It's true though, and
he was Man of Steel, Shazam, Aquaman.
It's true. You're right. You're totally right. But at the same time, it's great for showing when kids have skills, that bullies don't anticipate. And then also, it's like, I hate to say this, and it's not like there's just bullies around every corner, but we all knew people like that,
Yep.
or at least I did. I hope you guys had a better, youth than I did.
I never knew people like that.
We've all run into people like that just are awful because they feel like they can be, and it just, it's very, very relatable.
Al says, "I think it is a good anti-bully campaign."
Agreed.
Well, like, if you get bullied, a shark will eat
especially
you.
if they do spend some time highlighting, like, the reason that he's ostracized is because of how different he is, his heritage, the way he looks.
Yes.
Well, and that's the amazing thing too that we've brought up in the past. The fact that like he's not normal on the surface world, but he's not classified as normal in Atlantis either. Like, there really isn't not much of a middle ground for him because the surface rejects him because of his abilities, and Atlantis rejects him because he's not full Atlantean.
Yeah, and then the line that Mira has in the trailer about like
You can
he's meant to be king because he's like this, because he can understand both.
Yes.
Yeah, like yes,
I love that
that
line.
I really did.
What an intention! What a icon! I'm ready for this movie. I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
Al says it fits Jason so well since he too is of two different races, and I agree. And that was the one thing I remember James saying is that, when he got into this and then he talked with Jason and Jason discussed, his youth and being of two different worlds and not really fitting into either one. And it fits Aquaman so perfectly, and I'm pretty sure Zach saw that too, that James was like, that's the kind of story I want to tell. And I was like, ooh, he's going to, make a point of that. I'm so excited. So
gonna happen, guys. We're gonna get a biracial.
Can I just say, it's totally awesome. There's no air bubbles. We don't know how to talk underwater, even though we're entirely water-dwelling beings. It's just like, they just talk. I think my favorite moments is like, when the crowd is watching them fight,
I know.
And they just stop and then go, woo! Something like that. They're all just talking underwater, which also, I'm sorry, but lends ammo to that whole stupid speech bubble was Joss's idea, bullcrap. But, it's perfect because they do live underwater. I don't see that they need to do anything except just talk to each other. Oh, and you're right, Al. Juan called Zach a genius for casting Jason. I completely agree with that.
So for me, watching that trailer in person, it was such an amazing experience, and for me, I didn't know what to expect going in, like, at all. And immediately, like, the trailer just, like, wowed me, like, on every single level. That voiceover, like, showing, like, Arthur's dad meeting Atlanta for the first time.
Yes!
And that was, like, again, like, grade A casting with Nicole Kidman and Tamora Morrison. Like, and it's so awesome that Jason got him on to play his dad.
Yes.
And it's so, and like, one thing I gotta say too, so like, when the whole like bullying scene starts, that little kid looks so much like a young Jason, I swear. Like, that's the one thing I've always noticed. Like, the DCEU is so good at casting at kids who actually look like their adult acting counterparts. Like, the kids who played young Clark and Man of Steel, like, were like spot on casting.
Yeah, totally.
And one thing, because while I was at Comic-Con, like, a lot of images and stuff came out, and of like the statues and stuff of like the comic book design of Aquaman's suit that's going to be featured in the movie. They didn't show it in the trailer. So, like, for me, like, because we haven't really had a chance to really talk about it, but, you know, as soon as those images came out of like the statues and stuff, and I was there in person, like, I saw the statues of the Aquaman suit from the movie. Like, have you guys had the chance to see them, and what do you guys think?
I don't remember. I feel like I've seen it, but I don't remember. What's it again?
I've seen the statues and everything, and I heard people talk about at Comic-Con there was an actual glimpse of Jason in it, and I admit, yeah, I heard he says I heard they showed it in a second trailer at Comic-Con, and I agree. I don't know. It just seems like they got it right. I'm just expecting it to be right, you know. Yes, it's kind of the upside down caramel with the green bottom and the, you know, the lighter top and everything, but it doesn't, I don't think it's going to be cartoony. I think we're going to get a really good version, just like we have with many of the others, and it's just so nice to see. I don't know, it's nice to see it taken seriously. I think that's what makes me the most happy. And you know, and I don't mean serious as in never any jokes, but like they're not like doing the wink, we know we're ridiculous and we're comics, you know, they just are like, here's what would happen, yeah, you know, in the real world, you know, and here's what it might look like, and that's just cool.
Well, so the costume design in the movie looks excellent. I mean, the armor both Orm and Arthur use when they're fighting, the clothes they're wearing when they are on land, everything looks excellent to me. So I think the main suit with the orange and the green pants, it's going to look amazing no matter what. Because everything else looks amazing.
One complaint that I cannot forget: Mira's wig. I'm not.
I knew that was gonna come up. I knew that was gonna come up.
Like, it's so freaking red. I don't know.
Is she wearing a wig, or is that she dyed her hair though? Right?
No,
I think it's a wig.
It's clearly a wig. No, that's the thing though, because
it looks artificial. So either way, whether it's a dye job or a wig, you look at it and go, "Whoa, that's not a normal red color," you know. But
no, because the thing is, I think Mira's hair color looks really nice in comics when you can just color her hair fully orange. But you know, when it's underwater, that kind of natural looking orange color just doesn't look as natural. It doesn't look as great underwater when it's all tinged with blue. So it might end up looking like a bit green, a bit gross. So I can understand why they chose that dark red hair color for her, because I think in the underwater scenes it's gonna look absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's gonna look beautiful, and it's probably gonna look like, you know, her hair's on fire or something.
Yep.
And like that color definitely matches really well. But the problem is the land scenes hurt me. Like, her hair just looks like plastic. You know, it just. And you know, when I saw the behind the scenes pics with her hair like that, I was willing to reserve judgment. I was like, okay, maybe when it's on camera it won't look as bad, it won't look as bright. Maybe they'll you know, they'll like adjust the colors a bit so that the hair doesn't stand out that much. But it stands out.
Yeah.
It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Al says, the red hair looks pretty fake, but then again, comics, he's totally right.
Emma Hart is absolutely perfect as Mira, and in her scenes, like, that's just it's just distracting me from her perfect portrayal, because it's the only thing that sticks out. Because everything else about the scenes that she's in is just perfect, because she's just pitch perfect for the character.
Yeah, she's really perfect. I will say just one thing, and this is just me, because I tend to give the benefit of the doubt a lot, probably more than I should, but like, the only thing that occurred to me, and I agree, it looks so radically fake, you know, that hair color, but at the same time, when you look at Lana, you know, she's a different hair color, but again, she's got kind of an otherworldly idea to her, you know, with her hair so blonde that it's almost white, you know, and I agree with you. I think it might look way better underwater, and I just wonder if they're pushing the idea that because they're Atlanteans, they don't just automatically look like humans who live underwater. You know, that because they're Atlantean, there is something else to them that gives them what we would call a fake, or at least an otherworldly, how do I put it? You know, appearance. And I don't know that for sure.
Like
that could be me just totally guessing or giving too much benefit of the doubt. It's just an idea.
Because
that Amber is a damn good parent.
Both thing, you know, like where like, you know, that's the in-universe explanation for them.
I don't know. My
for the
brain
fact that they have to wear these like costume wigs and stuff.
Al says
Looking
I thought that was
at, like,
the most
a
natural
picture-
hair color. And she's always been a redhead, Al, as far as I remember. When it came to some actual hair color, it was really light, kind of orangey red. But she's like way over now, and I don't know if that's, you know, Nicole's doing that on her own, or if this was specifically designed for Atlanta. It's hard to say, but it looks really white, and I don't know. I will wait and see. That's one thing where I'm like, you know, I'm gonna have to get in the theater and see if every time Mira pops up, I go, wow, hair, you know, or if I can get past it and go.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Yes,
maybe
Mira,
I'll
you
be
know,
able
because
to
she's
deal with
perfect.
it.
So yeah,
Looking at the pictures of Mira, I think that, like, yes, at the time when I was watching the trailer, I was like, wow, her hair is bright. But, like, looking at the pictures, like, I feel like it is kind of an ethereal kind of look, like what Katie was saying.
sorry. Who said what? I'm listening. I'm waiting for you to finish.
Like, it is, like, kind of in, like, an ethereal look, and, like, it's, like, it's not jarring to me, honestly, looking at it now. Like, having seen it once, like, looking at the pictures now, like, I think it looks really nice, and I think that is her real hair. And, like, I think honestly, I like it. I don't think it's like, oh my god, I can't get over this. This hair is so bright. Like, I think it's nice, you know? Like, I don't think just, like, for me, the level of red that it isn't, like, so much that I'm like, what the heck am I looking at? Like, I think that it's nice to look at. I think it's...
So it doesn't throw you out of the idea of investing into the film so much that you cannot get into it.
No, I mean, just, like if I see her, like, I'm not going to think, oh my god, her hair, like, in a bad way. I'm going to think, oh my god, her hair in a good way. And Al says, yeah, the red hair looks pretty fake, but then again, comics. Besides that, Amber is a damn good Mira. I thought that was Nicole's natural hair color.
Yeah.
No, Nicole Kidman is not naturally blonde. Personally.
Yeah, she's like a light red.
Isn't she like a redhead? Yeah.
Too. Yeah, she's a redhead. So I don't know. I will argue that it could be Amber's hair, but if it is, it's legit entirely colored. But I don't remember her hair being that long.
No. You can't see her scalp. You know, it's like the wig thing.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
It's a wig.
She grew it out.
It's a wig, but...
My god, are we gonna, like, fight over whether or not she grew hair?
No,
like,
I'm looking at Al said if I could get you Black Widow's blonde hair in Infinity War, I can take Mira's hair. And I have to say, he's got an excellent point. So.
I mean...
Okay, that's one thing.
I still haven't seen that movie. Did they explain why her hair was blonde, or is she just radically changing hairdos as the movies change for no specific reason?
Oh, honestly, she looked. Honestly, Scarlett Johansson looked horrible in Infinity.
They just said that, oh, you know, what's her name? Black Widow just, you know, changes her hair whenever because she's a chameleon. So they just change her hair depending on whatever they want.
Honestly, honestly, after seeing the trailers for Infinity War, I'm like, okay, like maybe it'll look better like in the movie. Scarlett Johansson looked horrible in Infinity War. That hair was so bad, and they bleached her eyebrows, and I'm like,
oh dear.
And she just looked so unnatural, and she looked like a battered up Barbie. Like nothing against Scarlett Johansson. It's just
a good look on her.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, hey,
I didn't even think about it.
I'm not trying to judge Scarlett Johansson. I'm not trying to judge Scarlett Johansson or her acting ability on her looks. But also, her acting ability isn't very good anymore, and I'm tired of her taking roles for minorities. So I just want to get that out there.
Unfortunately, she's becoming, she's hitting that point where the public is starting to not really appreciate her.
Yeah, and it's funny because now Marvel's like, oh, so everyone on the internet hates her? Okay, now's a good time to greenlight that Black Widow movie. God.
You guys.
I'm sorry, I had to say it. I'm sorry. Okay, but as far as Mira goes,
it is for the fun now. You're right.
but as far as Mira goes, for myself, like, I know it's fake looking. Like, it's that's not a natural style of red. Like, and granted, like, considering what we saw in Justice League, like, that's like unless they have hair dye in Atlantis, that is a little bit of a continuity error. I'll admit that.
Agreed.
With that being said, it was never like I'm more with Rebecca. Where like it didn't like take me out of the scene she was in. Like I still think Amber looks freaking fantastic. Like I don't think she looks like plastic or. I know that's not a real hair color, but I still think she looks like so great as Mira. And
makes her face look really. I don't want to say fragile, but she looks really pretty because it contrasts with her face.
Yeah, no, that hair color is fantastic. Like, the styling, the makeup is fantastic. Like, that color is just, like, a fantastic color to wear, and it's a fantastic color for her skin tone and everything. Like, you know those color theory charts for like, your ideal hair color? Like, that is the exact kind of hair to offset, like, her complexion, which, like, it's just perfect for, like, making her look sort of otherworldly, kind of ethereal.
Yeah,
which is
ethereal.
fantastic.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, my problem is just that it looks fake.
What were you trying to say, Amber?
That I just think that she looks gorgeous, and I can't wait to see her and Jason Momoa fall in love.
She does look
Okay.
I can't argue there.
One thing I want to bring up, and this is kind of sort of off topic. Because it deals with someone I'd really rather not talk about.
Al says it's red from the blood of her enemies.
Okay, I'm sold now. I'm sold. Let's keep my mind as well.
But one thing I want to bring up that really frustrated me that Warner Brothers did. So at Hall H, they had not just the DC movies, but they had Fantastic Beasts and Godzilla. Warner Brothers thought it was a good idea to bring in Johnny Depp right before the cast of Aquaman and Amber Heard show up.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was a
Christ.
crass move. I don't know who was thinking,
Whoever made that decision, honestly, should get fired. That was a horrible decision. And no one even cheered for the fucker. Like, sorry, excuse my language,
I
but
heard
like,
he was booed, and I kind of giggled, so I admit it, I was like, I don't like people to be treated badly, but at the same time, I was like, honey, you need to know that, people aren't really up on you.
like, that whole situation, like, I was just so angry hearing that. And also seeing him, why? Like, and also, you already kind of ruined the franchise by bringing him in to begin with. You could. I haven't even seen the first Fantastic Beast, and all I know is I'm soured on it because Johnny Depp shows up in the end. Like,
it sucks because he's only there for like 2 minutes, and you go, "What the frick? I just lost my Colin Farrell, and I got that replacement. This ain't cool."
Colin Firth? Wait, which one is Firth and which one is Farrell? No, Farrell is the Irish one, and Firth is the English one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always so confusing. Oh my god.
Johnny just needs to go. Keep him away from Amber. Agreed, Al.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And I was bummed. And he hasn't acted well in so many years that it's like, dang it. Did you have to? Did you have to? It's just yeah. It was going really well up until that point. So.
Yeah.
I don't think the Me Too movement has extended as much to abusers, honestly.
Agreed. I would agree with that.
Didn't Josh Brolin beat his wife or something like that?
Oh yeah, but hey, he's a Marvel actor, so of course he gets away with it.
So they're perfect, Yeah. I do agree though that because people aren't there, they want to believe what they want to believe. And so, as often happens, like, abusers they get away with it. The woman ends up being vilified or called a liar. I'm not saying that things haven't been falsified and that women haven't made false claims. That happens, it happens. But abuse also happens, and it happens far more often, and, yeah. I do agree that I don't think the Me Too movement has caught up with that, and yeah. Al says I'm a Terry Crews, and I completely agree. You know, it's just that was a bad move, and now it's like I can never look at Johnny Depp the same way again. It's like
did you guys read the Rolling Stone article on him though?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Did y'all see the Rolling Stone coverage of him? It was just so. Ooh.
I didn't read it.
Did not see that.
Yeah,
it was like this huge expose where it just kind of just revealed that he just completely lost it. Like he's just completely not there anymore.
Mentally?
Like, in terms of mentally, like it's just like he just doesn't seem to understand anything anymore. He has delusions of like being cheated of his money. He's a complete alcoholic. I'm not like condemning him or like spreading rumors here. Like this is factually what was in the article. You know, he drinks a lot. He's controlled by one of his friends. You know, he's pretty much bankrupt or something like that, despite all the insane money he's earning. You know, he still seems to be under the illusion that Hollywood loves him. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, I
think that's a hard thing to give up after you've had it, and so.
Yeah, but that article is serious,
that.
guys. I think you guys should take a look at it.
I'll say this last thing about Johnny Depp before we move on. Boo fucking who, asshole.
Mood. Agreed.
Like that's all I gotta say. So back to Aquaman. So for me, one thing that at first the trailer kind of like I wasn't completely like sold on was the use of the trailer music that they used for the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition trailer for this particular trailer, because I like instantly recognized it, and I'm like, I'm like from me, I'm big on like trailer music and like musical scores, so, like I recognize a lot of that stuff like right away. But for me, like watching that for the first time, I'm like, okay, like it's fine. I guess I kind of wish they had something a little more original. The more I've watched the Aquaman trailer, the more I think, and I don't know if, like, this is, like, that big of a controversial opinion, but I think that they use that trailer music better than I think the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition trailer did. Now, granted, they both have, like, different uses for it, because, like, this is the first trailer for Aquaman where that was, like, the home video release trailer for Batman v Superman, so they're playing for different, like, there are different goals for those trailers.
Yeah.
But the more I've watched the Aquaman trailer, the more like that music just fits so incredibly well, and the way it builds up, like for me, like, and again, like watching it, like I've watched it like countless times now since it came out, but watching it just like even with the visuals, even though like, I know the CGI is not 100% done, like I'm still so like I respect James Wan so much for waiting so long and for making sure the CGI looked as good as it could at this point in production, so for people can like watch the film and be like, oh my god, these are so amazing. Like yes, of course, there's still people like, oh my god, the CGI is so bad, but those people I feel like just say that just to bandwagon. But seriously, like what James Wan is able to do with this film, it's nothing short of fantastic. Granted, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't judge it on its own merits yet. But just like the ambition he has for this film, like no other director that has really tackled a film quite like this before. That's like it's almost entirely underwater, and that has visuals that are like to the extent that they have in this film. Like, so James, I can't wait to see the rest of this film. It's just, from the visuals of Atlantis to, like, I can't wait to see Arthur and Mira's dialogue in this film. Like, just like the little tidbit we got in Just League and the bits we've seen in the trailer, I think they're gonna have such great fucking chemistry.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's just, yeah, I love this trailer so much. So for me, like, again, seeing it there in person, seeing the cast there in person, like like as a fan, like those experiences are always like so amazing because like I wish you guys would be there like with me to experience them, but like I'm always so lucky to be able to like whenever I go to Comic-Con and be able to experience things like that, because like no other nerd experience really beats like being there in person with the cast, seeing that trailer for the first time. It's such an amazing feeling. It's yeah, and the trailer like really paid off in the end because I think it was definitely worth the wait. It was incredible.
Al says. Oh, thank you. Go, Rebecca.
Oh, geez, my Skype just closed down. Why don't you read it, Katie?
Okay. Al says Orm and Black Manta were badass, and I completely agree. I was like, oh, good bad guys, I can't wait. And then he says the company working on the CGI in Aquaman is the same for Infinity War. And that's
I remember the clickbait article titles from one of those websites. I don't know if it was Collider or whatever, whoever it was, but they were like, Infinity War company works on Aquaman, and then you read it, it's like, it's just a big company that does a lot of special effects.
I was gonna say, yeah, like Infinity War is the only movie they've ever worked on. I swear, this journalism now just makes me angry because they're all just such scum. So,
not everybody, but there are some who are
white. It just gets a little bit
Can I just say though, this is completely off topic, but I was watching Lindsay Ellis. Remember that
Oh yeah.
Flash film critic who said that Zack Snyder hated his mom. I was watching her video about she has like a series called Loose Cannon where she talks about different subjects and how they've been covered in film and stuff. And she had a 2-part one on 9/11 and how the media has represented it in the years following. And she starts comparing like movies that kind of draw on the imagery of that. And so she talked about like movies that like don't name some event, or movies that have that kind of imagery in them. And so she mentioned Man of Steel, and I'm like, here it comes, it's happening. And she said, what did she say? She showed Batman v like the image of Batman v Superman, the opening scene, and then she was like saying like that Zack Snyder doubled down on his imagery. And I'm like, what do you mean double down? It's called continuity. It's called interweaving the story. Like, what do you mean? And then she starts showing,
going, oh, a different blogger doesn't like it, I better change everything.
And then she's like, and then she shows like what is she talking about? She's talking about how people deal with like the trauma afterwards and stuff. And she shows the part, which honestly, to me, the best part of the movie, the part with the news commentators and the scientists and everybody on television discussing this issue and what Superman means to the world now. And she's showing Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about this stuff. And like, honestly, to me, it's the best part of the movie. It's the most intellectual part of the movie. And in the bottom while she's showing these clips, she puts the words, "They tried." And I'm like, they tried what? They tried and failed how? Because when you say they tried, you mean that they failed, but you're not going to say how they failed. Like,
because
I don't know.
And you're just
all she wants to do is talk bad, and she's classic. She's one of those classics that refuses to engage with the film to start with, and it refuses to go, okay, what is this film trying to accomplish, or what are they trying to say? She takes her own agenda, puts it on, and goes, well, they failed. Well, they're not trying to meet your agenda, retard. They're trying to meet their own agenda. And that is when you have to take yourself out of the equation and go, what exactly is this film trying to accomplish? And do I feel that they managed it? But you cannot go, what do I think the film is trying to accomplish according to my agenda, and then decide that they failed. Ugh. Yeah, I can't stand her either, Al.
That's not mean or anything, but why would you subjugate yourself to her?
I know, I was like, dude, stay
because
away.
I was watching, she does this series on Transformers, and I like to think about Transformers for some reason, Michael Bay's Transformers, and then I just kind of started watching her other things, and it just happened.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the rest of her videos are
yeah, her videos are really good. It's just that she hates Snyder blindly, and I can't stand that.
Well, man, she's out on my book. See you later. But I'm just a bad person. But I don't have time for this in my life. Get out. Get out.
That's good though.
Alright, so back to Aquaman again.
Aquaman.
Oh, Al says, can we talk about comic accurate Black Manta? And Amber says, going to only text because I'm running out of battery.
Okay.
So Amber again, and we have Amber and Al.
Yeah, that's
Amber.
okay. We'll pay attention. We'll do it.
We'll try our best, guys. But yes, so Black Manta, I was worried about Black Manta because his look is probably one of the most out there comic book looks. You know, like, so seeing that look in person, like, it really could have gone either way. And at first, when like there was like a video that came up a few weeks ago of like the action figures for the movie, and they showed his look, and to me, I'm like, I don't know, it kind of looks like too bubbly. Like the shoulders look like huge bubbles, like the jetpack looks like big bubbles. But seeing it in action in the film, holy crap, it looks so great.
Yeah, it does.
He looks amazing. I'm like, holy cow, I can't wait. I'm going to watch this movie. So, yeah, it got me very excited. And I love hearing everybody go, holy crap, straight out of the comics, you know, because I admit I don't have much experience with that, but it's so nice to know that other comic fans are going, dude, that looks like it was taken right off the pages. That is just exciting.
Uh-huh. And yeah, seriously, like watching, like seeing when he popped up in the end, I'm just like, holy crap. Well, because the funny thing is, too, because we talked about those images a couple weeks ago, and they showed a different helmet. Like, they showed, like, a different Black Manta helmet. So unless, like...
Oh!
Yeah, so like, unless, like, his father was a Black Manta at some point, like, if that's just, like a mercenary type of role, where, it's, like, passed down, kind of like, maybe like a Dread Pirate Roberts kind of thing, like from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know, the look looks a lot better than I thought it was. Because at first I saw like that first image of that helmet. I'm like, I don't know, and then I also said the same thing about like the first like action figures of Jason Momoa in like the classic Aquaman suit, and of course I think they look fantastic, and especially because like there's one of the statues I saw that's a little more like accurate to what it's gonna look like, and like. Because it's not like it's like green pants. It's like it's all fish scale essentially, but it's like black fish scale leading to like green boots. But it's not like but it looks really good, and but like the black part of it is like it's fish scale, but like it reflects light in a really cool way. It makes it look like shining like a rain. It's really really well done. So I gotta say, like,
oh, that's cool.
Like I'll send you guys like
I can't wait to see that.
Like I'll send you guys pictures, but like it looked fantastic. So like with Black Manta, I just think they pulled that look off so incredibly well.
Yep.
And also right
says
before
the way he shot his laser was straight out of Injustice 2. Awesome. And Amber doesn't like Injustice at all, but she enjoys their character design, so which is fair.
Yeah, well that's one thing. Like for the most part, like Injustice at least has interesting designs for their characters. I'll say that.
Oh yes.
I don't love all of their designs, but for some of them, I think they're pretty good. But seriously, like watching this trailer, like it's seriously the first time since Justice League that I've actually had like legit excitement again for a DC film. Like yeah, like the images kind of help, but like seriously, like listening to like Arthur's dialogue, like looking at the amazing visuals from James Wan, like all that stuff, like
typing. Sorry, I'm hearing like typing noises.
I think it's Rebecca.
Oh, that's me. How is it so loud? Oh my gosh.
Our microphone's right nearby.
yeah, it happens.
Sorry.
It's okay. Al's asking who's typing so loud. Okay.
But yeah, well, one thing I feel like we haven't talked enough about is Patrick Wilson in this trailer. Because at the moment he spoke, I'm like, I'm so sold on him. Like,
I gotta say, yeah, I was like, ooh, and I really, really liked his line about bringing the wrath of the seven seas. It was like,
I like that
that's
too.
just
That's cool.
iconic. Awesome. This is gonna be epic. So yeah.
Yeah, so for like seriously, like what, like I didn't know what to expect from Orm's design either. But like that poster, like or like that Den of Geek image came out like the day or two before the trailer came out, and oh my, they actually got like a comic book accurate look at Orm, like with like the purple and silver scaly armor, and with like the ridiculously like the huge like fish helmet thing. It looked. It's seriously like this movie looks like it's gonna be a great adaptation of like everything about all the good parts of Jeff Johns' run of the New 52 Aquaman series, and that makes me so excited because that like Aquaman was some of the best parts of the New 52, and what Jeff Johns was able to do. Like I know like we're all a little like sour on Jeff Johns in terms of what he has done to the DCEU, but his writing in Aquaman I think was really really great, and I think even though given what happened with Justice League aside, like I'm so excited for what this film can be. Because they're throwing in so much. They have Orm in there. They have Black Manta. If they ever make a sequel, I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. Because they're taking like the best pieces of all of Aquaman and throwing it into one film. So like I don't even know what they would even do next. Like it's.
I agree, but that doesn't mean they'll automatically die at the end of this.
Oh no, I know. But I'm just like it's just a lot throwing in there. Not saying it's gonna be like overcrowded or anything like that, but just like yeah.
Okay, no, I hear you though. I hear you. I'm very interested to see how the story actually comes out. And Al says, "I hope they give us Aquaman summoning a giant whale," and I have to agree there. Yeah, and somebody else was like, "Man, I just really want to see him like lift a submarine up from the ocean or something like that." And then we got that in the trailer, and he was like, "Yeah!" And so that was actually a really epic moment there. I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be cool." There were a lot of Superman parallels in a good way, you know, and it just was really exciting. Versus Aquaman 2 is gonna be a rom-com of Arthur and Mira planning a wedding.
I would pay good money for that.
I would pay all
and
my
then
money.
Man of Steel 2 can be the Clovis rom-com of them also
yes, please. I'm here for it.
The DCEU can just be a series of rom-coms, just like the rom-com extended universe.
And you know, it's got the com in there, so it's fun, so people will like it, right? And therefore support it blindly. Like a certain other series, though. I'm done. I'm so bitter. I'm sorry. Anyway, what I will say is that I appreciate that. How do I put this? We're just not seeing. Like I love the Lois and Clark relationship. It is one of my favorite things about the DCEU, and it's so beautiful and tender. And yet, at the same time, we're seeing a really interesting and cool dynamic between Aquaman and Mira, but it's not exactly the same. She's giving him reassuring words here and there and stuff like that, but at the same time, there's sparks that are not there in Clois, and that's a good thing. I like that they're different. I like that in some ways, Mira's pep talks seem to be a bit more of a dude. Get up and do something, you know, which is different than how Lois and Clark interact. And that's cool to me because I don't want just carbon copies of the same kind of generic characters with different names and different appearances, you know, and there's a little bit more, I don't know, spark and a little bit more edginess, you know, to these guys, and that's in a good way, you know, that just makes them different, and that's good because these are different characters, and they should not be just universally the same or so lazy that they are basically the same with a different costume slapped on. And so that makes me very, very happy, and I'm kind of delighted to get there and see how exactly these two work with each other, and it makes me very happy. Okay, there's a whole conversation going on here, and I am missing it all! Al says if Aqualad is in Aquaman 2, best know your boy auditioning. That's right. And Wonder Woman 3 is Diana getting a girlfriend. Hire me, Walter Hamada. That's I agree. Amber. Yeah, that is Amber. And Al says he wants Halle Berry to be Diana's girl. I shouldn't be yelling all this, but it's hilarious. But Amber, I agree. She says also, I really love how the DCEU focuses on family and live for their characters. That's not something you usually see in comic book movies. Family and life, I think you're trying to say. Love, that's what it is. There you go, family and love. And I agree. It's a huge part of their identity and the comic lore, because there's always a significant other and that kind of thing. And it just, if they were blowing over top of that or just barely skating the surface, I wouldn't be nearly as invested in this universe. And so I'm happy to see that hasn't gone anywhere. But I don't know. I'm still kind of bummed, but we'll not bring that up.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Not because I thought anything was going to happen, just because, it would have been nice. And I'm still mad for all their dirty deeds in the background and stuff. But I know the leadership has changed, so maybe they'll actually not pull that crap again. We'll see.
We can pray. Honestly, I'm really happy that the leadership has changed, but it might not mean anything. So.
Yeah, see, I think I'm afraid to be like, well, leadership has changed. Everything's going to be perfect now. Because people aren't usually like that, and often, execs tend to kind of be So, but I'm not saying Hamada's bad at all. He's taken some really good steps, and it's just a matter of waiting and seeing now. It's always about...
We learned our lesson with Jeff Johns, I think. In terms of putting
I'm not
too much
saying he's a
faith.
bad comic writer. I'm saying he's not the best for movies. Okay. So, but...
No, I don't understand this whole trend with like content creators and like they go into projects and then they promise all these things and they seem to have a good grasp on the character and everyone seems to be on the same page and then all of a sudden they just sort of drop some content and it's just completely not what we thought. It's opposite to what they were saying, stuff that they were promising.
Yeah. Well, it was just the double dealing in the background, the promising one thing, like legit actually saying it out loud and then giving something radically different. It's like, wait, you're breaking trust here. Once you've done that, you can't just get it right back. So, Al says, I think they made a good choice in doing, or I think he made a good choice in doing solo films, and I would agree with that. So, I don't know. It's just a matter of wait and see. But Aquaman looks like, as long as WB keeps their little paws off of it, unless James do what he's supposed to be doing, what they hired him to do, then it looks like it's going to be really awesome. And so I'm glad about that because I think Jason deserves that win, and I really appreciate his excitement about it and his zest for life. Did you see him record that little bit to advertise the trailer coming out the next day when he like jumped off the cliff into the ocean and then filmed himself underwater? I mean. He's so excited, and I just think that's really, really cool. So he totally deserves this win, and I hope it goes really well, and it looks like it's really awesome. So they just need to back off and let James do his thing.
I feel like I'm like the only person who like didn't get hyped by this trailer.
I'm
I didn't like it. Like I'm still excited for the movie. It's just that the trailer itself like didn't really do anything for me, and I was just like, okay.
Like, it's a classic hero's journey tale in a lot of ways in terms of trailer, and because we're getting to the point of superhero kind of oversaturation, it's not like it's anything new and groundbreaking on those terms. So I agree with you. It's not like you're like, holy crap, this is radically different than anything we've had before. No, probably not. But the way James is going to handle it, I think, is what's probably going to win me over, and it was nice to see that. It was nice to see his work on that and be like, oh, it's not like this is a story that I haven't seen before, but I can't wait to see this particular version of it. And so that got me excited. Plus, I will say, I don't know, just the way the trailer was cut, the way it was put together, the music, like Nick said, it worked. It worked for stirring excitement in me, and that's way better than a lot of other trailers I can say. So. That's all I got. And it's okay if you're not just immediately legit hyped over it. That's your reaction, and you're entitled to that. Like, you know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't make you bad or wrong or anything like that. It just means that was your personal reaction to it, and we all have our own ways of interpreting and digesting things. So don't feel bad.
Mm-hmm. So I think now is probably a good time to segue into the Shazam trailer. If you guys, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to finish up on your thoughts on Aquaman.
No, I think we're good, guys. You think we're good?
I think that's Amber's real hair. Now I'm done.
Okay.
We're gonna have to let Amber please answer a question.
So for me, the Shazam trailer for me, I didn't catch the Shazam trailer until like late Saturday night after I got home from Comic-Con and everything. Because I was gonna wait for it to watch it at the DC booth, like I watched the Aquaman trailer, but unfortunately I had to go to my volunteer assignment, so I couldn't go and watch it. But I did see this. So again, I saw the cast, and that was really cool and everything. And it's funny because like Zachary and Levi actually in the cast all showed up right at the end of the Aquaman trailer when they were showing it, so that was pretty cool. But as far as the actual trailer goes, I know a lot of fans like it, and I'm not saying I hate it. I wasn't all that impressed with the trailer, if I'm being honest. Just for me, like, maybe it's the humor or the tone, I don't know. It hasn't, like, hit me or, like, grabbed my attention entirely yet. Like, I don't think it looks bad. Like, I think it's kind of, like, I think it looks, like, I think it's going to be a good movie. But just in terms of the trailer, like, like some of the comic booky shots were cool. Like seeing like Billy's foster brother Freddy.
Oh, Freddy.
Have all like the DC stuff. So he has like a Superman shirt, Wonder Woman stuff,
awesome.
Batarang. That all was really cool because the images came out like a few days before, and they had like a Time magazine cover of like the events of Man of Steel, and they had like a bullet that was shot off Superman that he had, and of course had the Batarang and stuff. So that part was like really really cool, and like of course I geeked out seeing that.
And I love that he's like an expert on superheroes because he has all this superhero stuff, and he's like telling Billy how to be a superhero.
I love all the different shirts. I love how excited he is about it. I'm like, you're kind of adorable. I love Freddy, I gotta say. So I hear you, Nick. Al says though, he says, I'm gonna say I love this trailer. Billy Batson has been a fave of me and my mom since the 70s, and I will admit I'm a comic newbie. And you remember like earlier when I was like, so what's about this character? I don't know about this, and you guys explained it to me, and I was like, okay. Al says, so when we heard about a movie for Shazam would come out, we were both worried, and the suit made us nervous, which is fair. Some of the earlier pictures did not look good. And I'm slightly turned off on the Levi situation, so I was like, I don't know if I really care. I don't even know if I'm going to watch this trailer. But eventually I did, and I gotta say, I laughed my butt off, guys. This is the thing. I'm not against comedy. And when they're legit going, look, this is going to be something that, I'm like, this is big with superpowers. And oh my gosh, I kind of can't wait. Like...
Al says, but I came to love it because story-wise it made sense since it's a boy pretending to be a hero.
Yes, and that's what won me over. Because in the end, like, he is so very... Then the trailer came out. He says that was Al. That's kind of what won me over, is that these are two kids, and then one of them just happens to be big with superpowers all of a sudden. And I don't know. It worked for me. Some of the stuff made me laugh a lot. And that stupid... Like, as much as Zachary Levi has kind of turned me off on him, his comic timing cannot be argued with. Like, the whole thing when they discover he's got bullet immunity, and then they're like, holy crap, to each other, and then he turns to the guys and goes, you're dead. That's like a perfect comedic moment.
Yeah, I'll give that moment credit. Yeah.
That is hilarious. That's freaking hilarious. And, and then they both come through the window, and, you're welcome for not getting robbed, and sorry about your window, and, all of that was funny. And so it just was like, I really believe this is a 14-year-old in a big guy's body. And so I will totally go see this because it really, really looks like a classic film from the 80s that I would have adored as a kid, So that's all I can say. I will probably see it. So Al says, best believe I was shook. And I have to admit, I took it, I showed it to my husband, I showed it to my kids. They're all like, oh, I need to see that, and I don't know. It looked like a totally different idea of something, and I was like, this could be just great fun. I don't expect it to be on Man of Steel terms, but it's not supposed to be. It looks like fun, so I'm totally there for it. It also has a weird little indie feel to it, which honestly I was like, that's kind of cool. So yeah, okay. See, Al says wait, where to go? How are you posting?
Al says, I love the use of comedy being so natural. The don't scream paper is now a use we do at home, LOL.
That was freaking hilarious. And it has birthed some of the best memes, I gotta say. Okay, and then Amber says, what I liked about the trailer was how aggressively part of the DCEU it is. And I totally agree. Everyone just wants these movies to be completely separated from what Zach built, and here we have these kids being inspired by the Superman and Batman Zach created. And honestly, I really enjoyed the trailer. Even though I have my problems with Levi, I really enjoyed his performance. But what I loved was Freddy and the kid who plays Billy. And I totally agree. I was like, holy crap, Freddy and Billy are like my favorite part of this, except that I will say you just can't argue with Levi's comic timing. Some of his expressions were very funny. So, yeah, Al says I couldn't have said it better myself, Amber, and I have to agree, I'm of that camp, so I don't know. It just looks different, and I'm
okay. Slightly opposing opinion here, I guess. I'm not a huge fan of the Shazam part of it, I think I said it to you guys earlier. It's like I feel like I'm just gonna enjoy the Billy Batson parts just so much more. Like I don't know what about it is that I just love the guy, the kid who's playing Billy Batson so much. Yeah. Like his portrayal is fantastic, and like it's nothing against Zachary Levi. Okay, a lot against Zachary Levi, but not his
He kind
portrayal.
of soured some things. It was sad.
I don't have anything against his portrayal of Shazam. It's just that that tone just doesn't really vibe with me. It just reminds me too much of like the overly comic tone of that way too many movies have. Like it's appropriate for this movie, and it's like it's fine that DC wants to do like, you know, one movie which has this kind of tone. It's just kind of a bit sour for me in general that, you know, movies have to have this kind of humor sometimes.
Yeah.
Even if kids, you know, like kids can find other things funny. Oh, okay.
It's true. It's true,
Yeah.
and I totally get you there. You know.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
I don't mind it as long as they don't overdo it, and I hope that, you know, they do spend significant time on like the valuable exposition you could get out of talking about out of the younger characters, especially the things that they're going through in their foster home and such. Like, I hope
Yes.
they do spend valuable time on that and not just all their energy on the more fun or superhero aspects of it. Like, yeah, we're all here for the superheroes, but you know, there's people behind the superheroes, and that's what makes them interesting.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for some of that too. I will say, Amber says the kid, and I think she's talking about the one who plays Billy, is an excellent actor, and I completely agree there. And I really like the kid playing Freddy. Like, both of them are really good. And then,
Agree. What? I can't say.
sorry, Amber says also the part where he tries to fly. The effects from that scene are insane. It looks so realistic. I was like, holy fuck. But I understand what you're saying, Gene, and I get that, and I think part of me expects that there will be a little bit more of that, and that this initial trailer was to kind of establish that this is not all seriousness, and I think it's entirely possible that they've cherry-picked a lot of the funnier parts out because the effects aren't ready, and so they can't show as much of that, and so, like, I don't know. I've seen conflicting interviews where they're like, oh, this is like a fun and great breath of fresh air, blah 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 blah, and then other people talking about how well it's got its moments of gravitas and seriousness, and so I'm like, okay, so which
Hello, hi, good afternoon.
And so I think
This
it's
is Rain with
better
Rock
waiting.
Travel.
Al had a great comment where he said, there we go, I like that they put Shazam in a place where he's not a copy of Superman, and I completely agree there. We don't need that kind of film. This needs to be its own thing, and I do appreciate that they are okay with going with the tone that kind of fits a character and not just trying to make them all the same. Like, you know, that's our major complaint with Marvel. And so I like that they're coming at it from a more individualistic, okay, so this one, you know, because it's a kid, should be different and should have some, you know, lightness to it and should have some funny stuff in there, and, you know, and that's okay. And then, you know, and then this one, because it's Aquaman, should really establish him as a bona fide awesome character and not just a joke, you know, and be taken a bit more seriously. And so I am happy with that they're trying to reflect the right tone for the right character in every film instead of just painting each one with their brand, which, you know, is really what Marvel's kind of doing nowadays. And I'm sorry to keep bringing them up. I don't just hate them, but it does feel like it's all the same now, and that gets frustrating because it gets old.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for me, like, even though I'm not as huge on the trailer as some of you guys, for me, like, as long as there's a balance, I don't mind the humor, I don't mind the lightness. It's just, there's certain moments in where the humor kind of felt like overbearing. Like, I kind of felt reminded a bit of like the things I didn't like about Spider-Man: Homecoming, in terms of like that kind of vibe. I did like the majority of the trailer. At just certain times I just felt that way, so I wasn't like super like, oh my god, this is amazing and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. No, I admit my main reaction was that's funny, but my also main reaction was I want to see that. So, Al says, I don't like that people compare the comedy of Shazam with Marvel. They keep saying it's the Deadpool of DC. And I would agree
That
with
isn't
that.
right. No, I think that's a stupid
far
comparison.
away from Deadpool. What? Yeah, Deadpool's mature, Rebecca says. And I know, I'm like, that's like the weirdest comparison ever. That's like taking a pineapple and a grapefruit and going, look, the same.
A sort of tone comparison that I felt was Kick-Ass. Obviously, Kick-Ass is really gory and disgusting and gruesome, but it also had a very juvenile tone to it, you know, and that's something that I really felt from this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. I think it's going to have a certain juvenile bit to it simply because they're kids, you know, but
I mean, both films have the same actor playing the villain, so there's that.
Okay, that's funny. So, Amber says it's completely different. The situations in Shazam are funny. They don't just have funny one-liners. And I totally agree. I think that's why it resonated with me and why I laughed at it so hard. And why I then turned around and went, here, honey, you have to watch this. Here, kids, we should watch this, because everything about it is coming from the situation that they are in and that they're discussing, as opposed to just making sure to cram a funny one-liner in all the time. Even Freddy's initial joke of, oh yeah, they seem nice, but you just wait. He gets really Game of Thrones around here, stuff like that. Then he's like, oh, I was just kidding. It just establishes his character that he likes the joke, he likes the kid, but he's really a warm and nice guy. And it was like, okay, so I don't know. And Al says, yeah, that's because that's what Sandberg was going for, and I agree there. So I'm really hoping it turns out to be a really nice film. So fingers crossed. I've been disappointed before, so I can't swear that it's going to be, but it looks more promising than I initially thought. At first, I was really, really unimpressed with the idea of this film at all. So
I get that, but one thing I
felt the same way.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
I felt the same way about this Shazam trailer that I felt about the Aquaman trailer. And I watched the Aquaman trailer first, I was just watching it. I was like, okay, I'm excited for the movie. This trailer doesn't really do anything special for me. But I think I enjoyed the Shazam trailer more, maybe because I was nervous about that one, but I wasn't nervous about Aquaman.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now that since you said, because I noticed that there was something kind of unusual about the color grading of the movie, and I was like, I don't know what it is about this, because I don't know, I don't really see many movies with this kind of cinematography. And then what Katie said, I think you probably said it, you said it kind of had an indie kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
and that's maybe what it was. So it doesn't really have that kind of, I don't know, coloring that we're used to in a DC film, but it's I think it's because of like you said, the kind of indie feel of it.
Yeah.
And I think that the comedic aspects are totally appropriate, and I don't think it's going to be overbearingly comedic, because it does seem like Billy has a hard time and takes these things seriously. Isn't just well, whatever, I have no problems, I'm just going to
Yes. I totally agree.
It seems like all of the comedy is going to come from the fact that he's really gleeful about his powers now.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like his
Gleeful,
personality
that's a great word.
is to just throw jokes every 2 seconds. It's because this really exciting thing is happening to him, and it's really fun and stuff. And I think that the suit looks good, and I think that
better than I thought. The initial pictures of what is that?
I think it's going to be a cute movie. I think it's going to be cute. I think that the flossing, I was like, wow, is he flossing right now? But honestly, it was adorable, and I can't really get it out of my head.
Right, and then people are like, why is he flossing? And somebody's like,
because it's 2018 and Fortnite's still a thing.
He's 14 years old, come on. Amber says, also, I can't wait for the family dynamic, and we go back to what I was saying about the importance of family and love the DCEU has, and I completely agree. And I will say, that is another thing. See, the whole it gets Game of Thrones joke around here thing that Freddy pulls, that's Billy's fear. Why do you think he's left so many different foster homes and stuff like that? Because it's all, everybody's out to get everybody else, and he's like, I'm better on my own. And so even at the very beginning, when the lady's saying, give these guys a chance because that's what they're giving you, and they seem like good people who just want to help, and it's like, ooh, is he actually going to find a family now? Is this going to be his found family? And is it really going to work? He's already connecting with Freddy and working to defend him, and that's what gets him in trouble and on the train in the first place, and probably chosen to have Shazam powers. And so, again, it could very much be a really wonderful story about family, as this guy, ends up with superpowers, but also ends up finding his family and something that makes, life worth it and worth fighting for. And so that is something I'm totally there for. And even just the small clips you see of the parents and the parents and the foster kids around the table doing the hands-in thing and stuff like that, that really looks to me like, ooh, this could be awesome, because it's this kid finding his family and also ending up with superpowers. And maybe he'll use those superpowers to defend his family, So Al says, I hope they go in depth with Billy's growth as a character. Me and Danielle talked about that. I totally agree. Totally agree. And Amber says it's good storytelling, to be honest. And I totally, yeah. So I really hope that we see a lot of the good family stuff in there as well. Besides the fact that, you know, you have this goober who ended up with superpowers, and that's funny. You know, so it has potential to be a really good film. And, you know, and even if it's just, it doesn't have to be like Zach's, where it has all these amazing undertones and motifs that, you know, layers that you're finding to yourself. It doesn't have to be that. It's probably not going to be that. And that's okay. Because even if I just find a wonderful, heartwarming film that I can sit and watch with my kids that's funny and also shows that, you know, somebody finding a family and people worth defending and sticking around for, like, that's a good message to put out in the world, and I'm here for that. So it doesn't all have to be Zach. He's kind of one of a kind, so I don't expect everybody to be like him.
Zach goes above and beyond. He's too much, man. He's too much power for one man.
Right?
Oh, Al says, did you know there was a Watchmen reference in the trailer? Please tell Al. What is it?
What?
It's at oh gosh, is it the principal? No, it's not a principal. It's like it's in the office. Probably the foster care office or whatever, something like that. It's on the desk. There's a whole bunch of smiley face pins.
Oh, one of them I think is the one that has the blood.
Yeah. It's you know, it's a pin of the smile face.
Christ.
Like on the lady's desk. Yep, there's a bunch of smiley face stuff, and that is just cool. And I deeply, I agree. That helped a lot to help me invest in this film. Was not that we're just going to swear off anything that came before and go funny Marvel way, but we're going to show how you can get a funny, different tone of film in that same universe. You know.
Also, Marvel doesn't own comedy. Just want to remind everyone.
Exactly. But I agree that they got a lot more loyalty from me acknowledging we're in this exact same universe, and these guys are inspired by the Superman and the Batman that we're inspired by. Oh, that went a long ways. I do admit. It was like, okay, that helps a lot.
And also, I'm like really huge into like the idea of how the goings on of the superheroes like affects regular people. Like, there's this fan fiction that I read, and it was like in it there was like elements of like the Church of Superman and like the people who think of Superman religiously and all this stuff. Like, I'm super into
link.
Interesting.
Okay. I'm super into the idea of how are regular people reacting, how are regular people seeing all of this, and so
I completely agree.
I'm just like really into the idea of these kids. Like, how do they look at superheroes? Like, like, what does all this mean to them?
Yes. Yeah. Al's like, where that link? And I totally agree.
I'm trying.
Give us
my browser.
Give us the link. That's wonderful, and I agree. I'm totally invested in that too, and that seems to have been a common thread that's been running through the DCEU all this time, because we do tend to see, like, you know, the general populace's reaction to things. And, you know, and even in the extended version of Batman v Superman, you've got the kid and his mom in the apartment when they're burning effigies of Superman, and he's just horribly taken aback and looks to his mom for reassurance, and she's like, "Nuh-uh," you know, like, don't you believe that? And you really see that, you know, there are regular people in the world being affected by what's going on, and, you know, in one way or another. And I will admit, like, the Russian family doesn't do that for me, because, you know, we know where it came from, and Marvel doesn't typically do that. The closest we got was like the waitress in Avengers, maybe, but they just don't show you that, and it's really cool. And I'm very invested in you know, how are regular people reacting to this. So Al says, I wonder how sad Freddy was when Superman died. I kind of hope they mention that. Can I just say, I kind of hope they bring that up. I might cry, but I'm totally there for it.
Can you imagine, like, if this film started with kind of like with Batman v Superman, where like it takes place when Superman dies, and like, and is seeing,
that would be cool.
Do not get me excited for that, because I'm disappointed it's not there. What a great thing! I know. Wow, Al says, totally agree. That would be so cool.
Mm-hmm. So for me, like, probably one of the things I did enjoy the most was the familial dynamic of that we can see from this trailer. Because the one thing I think that, because this takes a lot of influence from the New 52 run of Shazam that was featured in the Justice League series during the New 52. And a lot of people didn't like it because they kind of turned Billy Batson into kind of a dick. But, like, I didn't necessarily mind that because, like, it's good to have, like, a good-hearted kid, but, like, in today's day and age, like, it's... Like, kids aren't as nice and sweet as they used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have kids ever been nice and sweet? Let's be honest.
I mean, it depends on the
kids,
kid. I'll be honest. Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Nice. But yeah, as a society, we're developing less and less empathy, and I think that it shows in our society. Yeah, Al says it was to I think he's trying to say separate him from the Boy Scout image that Superman has, and I would agree with that. But it makes separate. Yeah, it makes. I would agree. I wouldn't like that as much because it'd be like I can't root for this kid. He's a dick. So.
I was not a shit when I was 14. Let me just stand up for myself and all the non-crappy 14-year-olds. Okay, I just want to defend the 14-year-olds. That's all I want to do. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm just saying.
Preach.
Some people are bad when they're that age. Like let's be honest. There were some people in like who are not nice. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
I agree, but there's lots of 14-year-olds out there that are just nice and just trying to get through the world, just trying to navigate life and not get eaten alive, and so, yeah. There's good
do not need additional stigma against them for being assholes when they're young, because that just gives, like, asshole adults an excuse to treat young children like shit, because
or people to go, well, they were young, and to excuse, when it's like sometimes even as a 14-year-old you should know what is beyond the pale, and so, but, yeah, there's good and bad in every group, and 14-year-olds are not immune to that, so...
Young people can be as bad as older people in terms of just, like, the toxicity in their hearts,
Yeah. Nice. Well said. Al says 14 is an age where you should know better, and I do kind of agree with that. You're getting older, it shouldn't be, well, they were young, You should be really old enough to know right from wrong.
Well, that's like one thing I think, like, at least with this movie, I think one thing I like is I think it maintains a balance of, like, it has, like, the characteristics of the New 52 character without going too far of, like, oh, this kid's just straight up an asshole. Like, this kid's bitter. Like, he's not exactly, like the happiest kid in the world, but he's not, like, a straight up asshole.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, when it came down to it, he stuck up for his foster family, and he beat the bully with the crutches.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Again, carrying on that theme of beating down bullies. But yeah, so, like, for me, like, one thing I gotta say, though, like, because I haven't really had a chance to talk about, like, the suit. The suit itself, I think, looks pretty good, but I hate, like, that bright yellow lightning on the chest. Like, I wish they would have done something there to make it, like, feel, like, a little more alive in that way, because I feel like just the solid light yellow that they use, for me, like, it feels, like, cheap to me. Like, but someone did point out, like, when he's using his lightning, it changes to, like, a white color. And I feel like that, to me...
I noticed that.
I feel like that would look a little better than, like... I just don't like just the flat yellow color that they use. Like, I wish, like... Because in the New 52, it's almost, like, alive, and, like, the lightning on the chest is like a living part of the suit. Like...
Oh.
So, like, I wish there was something a little, like, more to that ilk, like, of the design. But other than that, I still think it looks pretty good. And the one shot of him, like, walking towards the camera and he says Shazam, and then he instantly transforms, that was a pretty cool shot.
That was cool. Al says, I wish they made it bigger across his chest.
And
I see both of your points. And the fact that it glows is kind of disconcerting, Oh, okay, I'll just put up a picture of it way bigger. And it's like, oh, that is kind of cool. I will say, I think it's a bit of a challenge for this particular one. I liked when Freddy touched it, and you could see it kind of come out a little bit, and you realize that there's something more to it than it's just a symbol of yellow across his chest. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think, I don't know, in some ways it would be really cool if they could do that, but I also see the challenges of, like, burning up all of your special effects money on every shot you ever have of Shazam because you have to alter the front of his suit. And so, like, I don't know, so Oh, Amber says they tried, but Sandberg said that Levi couldn't actually move properly.
Yeah.
That
with
would
the
definitely be a
with the
problem.
thing being bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the symbol being bigger, and that can be an issue. It's so weird sometimes when you have great ideas and you're on paper they work great, but then when you try to do it in real life, it's like, yeah, that doesn't work. And as a costumer, I can tell you, sometimes it's a real pain in the butt. You know, I mean, they're like, well, I can't hear with this costume on. Well, you know, what am I supposed to do? So it just, you know.
Yeah, like I remember reading that and
sometimes
like
you have to work around the practicality of it, even with as much special effects as we have, you know. So yeah,
like I don't mind like
is true.
yeah, like I don't mind the size of the lightning. I just feel like just the fact that it's just backlit as a yellow light. I just feel like they could have done something a little different to make it like pop more, other than just you know.
So you're saying it looks like a cheap neon battery pack?
Kinda,
you know?
yeah. Like that's
fair,
my only gripe with the suit. Otherwise, I think it looks really well. Like it looks better than those initial set photos for sure.
Yeah, the initial set photos were concerning. I was like, what is that? You know, that looks bad. But it doesn't.
It just looked like a cheap like latex suit. Like it just looked like
yeah. It looked like the Reeves Superman suit, where you're right. It's just basically spandex, you know, with some foamies underneath to make it look muscular. And yeah, that was very concerning. I was like, ooh, that's not a good look. So I'm really glad it's better than that. But I will say, okay, and I will say also the fact that there's like the little pattern all over it, like there is on Superman's, is delightful, because that's just a subtle nod that, you know, of course that's what it would be, because, you know. And then I will say also, again, this might be me going too far like I did with Mira, you know, with benefit of the doubt, but when you think about the tone of the film and the fact that it's a 14-year-old who's suddenly been given powers, and this particular 14-year-old, he's not Freddy, he's not obsessed with superheroes, you know, what he sees are like the cheap Halloween costumes that are out there, and you wonder if that's kind of part of that is his subconscious just, well, this must be what it looks like, right? You know, because that's like as far as his basic knowledge goes, you know. Or maybe they were going for that tone because it is more of a kid's movie and they were trying to separate. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it wasn't until somebody said that Zach's initial thought with Man of Steel was, what if this happened in real life, you know, and that was why there were so many like shaky cams and what looked like, you know, shots that could be done with a phone that people were trying to zoom in on and stuff like that. And there was a lot of that in the film, and I never put that together until somebody said that, and I was like, oh, that's what he was going for. He was going for that documentary style kind of look. And so sometimes I think, you know, they make choices and they're trying to go for a specific thing, and then we as the audience don't quite catch in on it, and so then it seems really weird to us. But if they explain it, then we go, oh, well, that makes legit sense. And so it could be one of those, or it just could be, you know, a funky costume design. I agree with Al. It'll be weird to see this Shazam with the rest of the Justice League team. He would stick out and look kind of funny. But he's a kid, so in some ways, he should. You know, we should never forget he's 14 years old, and, you know, I don't know, to have him be suddenly look like the rest of the adults and fit in perfectly with all these adults pulling superhero duty would be weird. I don't know. It's I guess we'll have to see what they do with it and where they go. Silence.
Sorry.
He would look like a total goober hanging out with them, but it would be kind of funny. So
Al says Dr. Savannah.
I don't know who that is.
That's
the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the villain of the movie.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now, my question is, so obviously, like, The Rock has been teasing his whole Black Adam movie or whatever. And he was cast, like, 5 years ago. I'm honestly wondering if that's actually still going to happen. Like, unless there's some, like, end credit scene teasing him coming in the next movie. I don't know if The Rock's still going to be playing that character, because he's been, like... I don't know. Because I don't know if I necessarily want, like, a straight-up Black Adam origin movie. Or, like, his whole, like, just a Black Adam movie. Because, like, isn't that kind of based... Like, I know they're separate characters, but, like... Because they're the same basic origin of, like, that this wizard grants them their powers to be, like, Earth's champion. Like, I don't know if we necessarily need to do that twice in the same cinematic universe. But, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Are they just gonna go the traditional origin story route with this Black Adam then?
I don't know. Like, Black Adam is an interesting character, because the reason why he went evil, because he went so far to try to save his people, and then he got lost along the way. And I think that is an interesting story to tell, but I don't know if that's a story I want just like as a solo origin movie for Black Adam. Like I feel like
I could see that.
Like, isn't he a Shazam villain?
yeah, he is.
See, okay,
Yeah, why is
that's
he-
what Al says. He says that's gonna look funny as hell to see Zachary Levi versus The Rock. How Black Adam got his powers was that his son got the power, but he killed him and stole it, is what Al says. Ooh, that's
Well, I
dark.
mean, I think it depends on the origin. Like his origin has been told like a few different times.
Okay.
But
I agree that I think that would have to be handled just right for it to come out really well, you know? But I also agree, we heard about that cast ages ago. We have heard nothing about it ever since, and so
It's
you just have to...
definitely not a safe topic, you know, for a solo movie. So I don't even know how they do it at all. So you have the guts to pull off something like that, you know what I mean?
That could be interesting.
I think I mean, obviously, like if they do a sequel, then yeah, like bring on The Rock. Like I don't mind. But I think, like there are other characters I'd rather have a solo movie first, like Cyborg, The Flash, like
Thank you.
maybe do like a Green Arrow and Black Canary rom-com. Like I wouldn't mind that. Like
I would kill to actually see Green Arrow and Black Canary the way they're supposed to be. Like, instead of badly mangled by Arrow. That's the only exposure I've ever had, you know, and you know, other people talking about them in the comics and stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap, I want to see that. I want to see Green Arrow and Black Canary comic accurate instead of, I don't know, Arrow just did such a bad job with it. And so I would really love to see a film with them. So I agree, I'd be totally there for that. It'd be interesting to see their dynamic the way it's supposed to be.
Well,
My idea.
Well, one thing. I'll go ahead, Rebecca.
Dang it.
No, go ahead.
Phone keeps closing down. Oh gosh, you're killing me.
Talking
to
my
myself,
idea for a
so-
Black Canary Green Arrow film would be something like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I would love that. I would love that.
I will say, way back in the day, somebody on Tumblr, somebody somewhere, mentioned that it would have been so much better if Oliver got, you know, lost in the shipwreck, was on the island for 3 years or 5 years, whatever, you know, and then came back and kept running into this, you know, starts doing vigilante stuff and starts running into this other person, you know, and they start, you know, like, I don't know, just having run-ins with each other, and it turns out that Laurel became Black Canary in his absence, and I was like, holy crap, that's like the best idea ever, and I would have loved that, because that would have been really fascinating to see them interact out there not knowing who each other are as vigilantes, and then also interact as, you know, Oliver and Laurel, you know, trying to reconnect after he's been gone so long. So it would be fascinating, and what a cool story, but, you know, they missed that boat, like, ages ago. So.
They missed so many boats with Arrow. I live
Right?
in a
I'm like, just the fleet
in
was
a
leaving, and they just stood on the shore and waved, you know?
I live in a state of constant rage towards the show Arrow because of like there's so many things they could have done which they didn't do.
Yes.
Like, you know, like every time I watch Arrow, I just feel angry about different things.
I don't watch it anymore for that specific
Yeah,
reason.
exactly. It
Ever since
frustrates
the
me
harp
too
was just
much.
empty in regards to Arrow. Alright, if you guys are interested in moving on, Al says, speaking of solos, did you hear about Batman possibly being an origin film?
I have like one last thing to say about Shazam. As
Oh,
far
go
as
ahead.
I'm concerned, everyone is playing their character until they announce that they are not playing their character. Okay? So,
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean.
The Rock is still Black
Yeah.
Adam, Ben
Yeah.
is still Batman, everybody is still what they are until they say that they're not.
I would
Okay.
agree with that, and that's the general consensus that I go on. I try not to tap into rumors and stuff like that, but it has been frustrating that we have heard just nothing about Black Adam since the moment they announced the casting. You know, like they announced casting and then nothing, and you have to wonder. The thought occurred to me, maybe they're on hold right now, waiting to see how the Shazam film does and whether it warrants a sequel, and if it does, then they go ahead and Black Adam's there. I just don't know. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see it play out.
So,
And Al, I don't think I don't think, Al says Dwayne did say he was still Black Adam.
Good.
And then in regards to what you just said before, Al, about the Batman possibly being an origin film, I don't think it's likely to be, because I heard it was going to be like possibly be like a year one film, but I don't know what they're going to decide to do with that, because Batman Begins is already a thing.
Yeah.
And so,
and that was kind of
unless they're going to do something really different from that, unless they're going to like really like change it up in a drastic way. But if they're not, then I don't think they're going to do like a year one or an origin film.
Yeah.
I hope not, just because it's like, it's true. You're just retreading the same ground over and over again. That's part of what I loved about Batman v Superman. Batman had already been doing it for so long. You know, like, it wasn't just, well, we'll just get him up and started now. It was, okay, now we're coming into this, and we got to see a Batman we've never seen before on film. One that's been doing this for 20 years. You know, that just...
Yeah.
Amber says there was a clip going around of the director saying that it wasn't going to be a year one story.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Story, yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay, and I knew that was kind of a rumor, you know, when they announced that, and it wasn't substantiated, and it wasn't an announcement, and I was like, I will take that with a giant bag of salt. And, you know, because there's so many rumors flying around, and half of them are totally bogus. And so I don't want to just freak out about every single one. But I do admit it would be disappointing. You know, I'd be like, really? You have to, you know, really? Like, can't you do something else? There's so much Batman lore out there, and people keep going straight back to the beginning. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's my thoughts on the whole situation. I don't believe the sites who are running the whole Batman Year One thing. I don't.
Yeah.
My gripe is that we've gotten absolutely nothing since Matt Reeves came on. Like, like Ben made that half-ass, like, oh, like I would love to be a character and work with Matt Reeves. Like, at the time we were excited because, like, yeah, he totally confirmed he's Batman. Looking back on it, he didn't say, oh, hey, I'm sticking around. Don't worry, guys.
I know. I always noticed that, but I chose to ignore it.
I think we all did at the time.
I don't think this is some like harbinging of doom. Like, I feel like I'm not in any rush because I am not the biggest Batman fan ever. Like, I could care less whether or not this movie comes out. Like, I love the DCEU. Of course, I want this movie to come out, but I don't care about it like other movies. Like, every other movie potentially on the slate or already on the slate is more intriguing to me than this. Green Lantern Corps, the Cyborg movie, if and when they decide to do it, The Flash, Wonder Woman 84, like, everything else is more interesting to me than that. And when it happens, it will happen and I will be excited for it, but I don't care to worry myself about this movie and what point in production they are with it.
I see that. Well,
yeah,
Amber says pretty much the same thing. She says I would rather see other characters have movies instead of Batman, to be honest, which is true. There's so many Batman films.
As one of
there's so many
Batman's
characters
number
to explore. But I also agree with Al. He says I want a Batman movie that takes place like a year before Man of Steel. You know, and that could be interesting. You know, especially if it involved, you know, a certain Robin. Or, you know, like, there's all sorts of great stuff out there. I would like to see some of that in film. So, yeah.
I'm still so hung up on my Robin idea, like, come on. And also, like, I just, even as, like, a big number one Batman fan that I am, and I'm an embarrassing huge Batman fan, you guys haven't been to my house, like, I'm sick of Batman movies, like, enough, just give other people time, like, we have enough Batman, we have so much Batman, we have too much Batman.
Yeah.
Like, let the character rest, let the character sink in a bit, you know, let the character breathe.
I mean, for me, like, my whole thing is that, like, I mean, I want to see a Ben Affleck Batman movie, like, I really do, but I just, okay, and I said this on Twitter because I got really, really, like, annoyed because I'm just tired of all this Batman movie drama. Like, honestly, if it's not Ben, I don't care. Don't make this movie. I don't want it to be a prequel, I don't want it to be a recast. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. I'm so tired of this crap. Like, if you're not gonna stick to your guns, don't fucking do it. Like, seriously, if Ben wants out, just write his character out. Write, like, the death of Bruce Wayne storyline, or do something. Like, have Dick Grayson take over. Do something. Something different. Like, I'm so fucking tired of going back and rebooting everything. I'm so tired of it. Like,
that's the mood right there.
Like,
I agree, and I also agree that if they do a Batman film, I'd be there for that. But if it's not Ben, then I don't know how much I give a crap, you know. So I'm right there with you.
Hey, if Ben doesn't want to come back, okay, like I completely understand. Like he had his run that he wanted to do. Warner Brothers totally fucked him over, and like if it's like, hey, this isn't what I signed up for, I'm gone. Then hey, that's fine. But if that's still the case, but if he doesn't want to do that, then hey, like I don't want anyone else like pretending to be Ben's Batman. I don't want to have to like, just pretend that the Batman if it was on Batman v Superman is Jake Gyllenhaal. Pretend that he's
oh my god,
insert X actor. Like
I'm so sick of hearing that. By the way, I was like, do you mind?
Like seriously, like hey, like if they casted Jake Gyllenhaal originally, I would be like, hey, that's fucking awesome. Jake Gyllenhaal is a great actor. I wouldn't mind. Like I'm excited, but I don't. I've been so frustrated with this whole fucking situation, as you guys could tell. If Matt Reeves and the annoying part is Warner Brothers and Matt Reeves are giving us nothing. They're not saying definitively whether Ben is staying or not. Like, unless contract negotiations are still going on. Like, okay, seriously, it's been how long? Like, it's been like well over a year and a half since Matt Reeves was brought on. You haven't confirmed whether Ben is staying or not. You haven't confirmed like what like if the movie is even really coming out at this point. Like just give us fucking something. Like at least if you say, hey, we're recasting, okay, there. It can be like, okay, well, I don't care about this Batman franchise anymore, so it's at least nice to know that it's a done deal now. Instead of dragging this on so you can get all these people, thank God Ben's not gonna be Batman anymore. We don't fucking know that. Stop like unless it comes definitively from Warner Brothers, from Matt Reeves, from Ben Affleck himself. Stop running with this shit like, I heard from someone who heard from someone who heard from someone who heard from Warner Brothers that they're looking for Jake Gyllenhaal, even though Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be in Spider-Man. Or this random guy.
He's going to be in Spider-Man?
Supposedly. He's supposed to be like Mysterio in Spider-Man, I guess. Supposedly. I don't know. But, like, I'm just so over this fucking bullshit drama. Like, again, if Ben is still working on a contract and being like, hey, you guys screwed me over. This isn't what I signed up for. Give me the Batman I deserve or I'm gone. Like, if that's the case, if they're still negotiating that, okay, fine. Like, I'll be patient for a little bit longer. Beyond that, if this doesn't end up working out and Ben's done being Batman, I'm done caring about the DCEU Batman moving forward. Or whichever person they say is the new DCEU Batman. Because I'm done. Like, I'm done being interested in this franchise if all they're going to do is recast and basically reboot. Because they fucked up. Okay, rant
totally
over.
There with you for all of that. I agree. I totally agree. Amber says, at this point, I'm just focusing on the movies they have in active production. I'm super hyped about Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, Ava's New Gods, Aquaman, and Shazam. Whatever they announce next, I'm game, to be honest. And Al says, I'm super hyped for New Gods. And I agree with all that, but it is frustrating that there have been so many films that supposedly were up and running or going to get up and running and then just stalled and did nothing. And it really does, unfortunately, show me that I just don't even think they know what they're doing anymore. And I think that they're so cautious after being burned, which after burning themselves, that, they're now, like, just going with the ones that were already up and running before all that. And they seem to be wanting to test the waters before they do anything else. And it's like, there comes a point when you just have to, like, commit or say you're done, and I'm real tired of we're doing this, and then no news for a year and a half. I mean, really? We're even at Flash at that point. I'm not delighted about the fact that they got two comedy writers to do the Flash, I'll be honest. I love comedy, but I wanted a good Flash story, not a funny one, and then yet, guess what? Oh, look, nothing. Like, no news, nothing at all, Cyborg, we'll probably never get a movie. It's just, I'm kind of frustrated with all the amazing non-communication. And they came to Comic-Con, they were like, here, I have trailers, okay, bye. And they gave no indication of what their future plans are. And that kind of pisses me off because it's like, it would be just great if you guys could settle on something and go with it instead of just, dancing around and not talking at all. Right. This is what got you in trouble in the first place when you refused to, like, step up and defend Zach or defend your vision or defend your product, It's just, you just let the bloggers go bananas and it just got worse and worse and worse. So, Anyway, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll
say this.
I don't think that Cyborg is never going to get a movie because honestly, like we could say, oh, he's not. He's not a character that's a priority for them, so he's not getting his movie. The thing is, the Batman movie is not nothing. They're dragging their feet on the Batman movie. They're dragging their feet on Man of Steel 2. The only movie that they're not dragging their feet on is Wonder Woman 84. So it's not even like, oh, Cyborg is insignificant to them, so he's not getting a movie. Because the two others in the Trinity, their movies are like nowhere to be seen. So I think
that's because the public reacted badly to them. The public loved Wonder Woman, and it was an amazing hit, and nobody could say anything wrong about it. Therefore, well, of course they'll do a sequel. And nobody's talking about
everybody
Cyborg.
loved Ben Affleck's Batman.
I love Cyborg so much, but
so I think Victor's going to get a movie. I just don't think. I think they're just everything is just 100 feet in the air right now. So I think they're just gonna
wait and see.
Drag things out.
I guess I'm tired of floating in limbo. It gets old. Al says, I mean, look at Shazam. He wasn't that popular, and he's getting a movie. This is fair, but I'm just, come on, guys. Cyborg will possibly get one soon. I appreciate your optimism, Al. I want him to have a movie. I want a dang Cyborg movie. I want it now. I also would like the Justice League that actually has him as the heart of the movie, but that's a whole other story. My family's gonna roll their eyes. Don't get her started. But he deserves a film. I would like to see Ray in a legit Cyborg film, but it frustrates me greatly, that nobody seems to be really talking about him, and nobody seems to be really doing anything because I don't think they think it'll sell well enough. That's like, that's bullcrap. Amber says Ray Fisher deserves a movie, and I completely agree. He does.
I think he'll get one. I'm with Al.
Fingers crossed. I hope your guys' optimism carries through, because I admit I'm getting cranky.
I know.
I want like a Daft Punk meets RoboCop meets iRobot.
or even like a Tron Legacy kind of vibe. Like I don't know. Wow, that was silence after that statement.
I like Tron Legacy vibe. It was a good vibe. The movie was okay, but
I saw it once. I'll be honest, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but I just want Zack's Justice League because that was supposed to have so much of Ray's heart in it,
I just want Zack, please.
I want
let him direct a movie about ants. I don't
want to see him on the football field. I want to see him with his mother. You know what I mean? These are the things that I want to see him. Have that bit of a struggle with, what am I? Am I human? Am I robot? What am I? And I want to see all of that. And I'm really irked that we've been robbed because everything Ray has done has been wonderful and I really loved it, but it's not enough. I really want more. I want the Cyborg that we were supposed to get in Justice League, so.
Ray is like Jesse in Batman v Superman, like this fleeting, like not many scenes, not that many lines to be honest, but just iconic with everything that comes out of his mouth,
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to say is that when it came to announcing stuff at Comic-Con, I had some hope, but I wasn't expecting them to announce a new slate because they tried doing the same thing last year with Flashpoint and all this other stuff.
That backfired.
And it backfired big time. So I think I don't mind them playing the wait and see game, but for me personally, there are certain things I want confirmation of, like Ben's Batman, a Man of Steel 2. Just admit whether or not you're doing a Cyborg movie. Just straight up say it. It's sometimes okay, don't give us a release date necessarily. I mean, I would like one, but at least say whether or not for sure that some of these are even happening. Because that's
or is that something that's just never going to happen? It would be nice it would be nice to know if it has been canceled and they don't ever plan on doing it, so we're not sitting waiting in suspense on the edge of our seat for so long. So. Okay, there's a whole conversation going on down here. Wait up, guys, I saw that too. Wait, okay. Al says, did you guys hear about the old actor Billy Olsen on Zack's Justice League? Have you guys heard about that? There was a little interview with Mark McClure, and he talked about that. It was actually really cool. We saw in the first trailer where Cyborg saves him from the cop car, the flaming cop car, landing on him, says you should probably move. That was him, and then he said that he drove Lois to the site where Superman was resurrected, and so, which made sense, that's why we never got the clip of her turning to see it and everything like that, because she then hitched a ride. And I think he said that he drove her to the site when she was there in the rain with the umbrella as well, earlier in the film. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he said, and Al backs us up here, the Superman fight scene with the Justice League was actually supposed to be near the beginning of the movie, which is like, what?
I don't understand how that could occur, because
I don't know. And Al says that Superman was being controlled by the Mother Box, and I agree. Find that link. Oh, Jimmy Olsen, sorry. Yeah, but so I remember seeing that too, and he didn't know all the details. Mark McClure didn't, know everything about it, but he did say it seemed like it was kind of the beginning, But what I will say is that if that is so, it's entirely possible that it's out of sequence storytelling. Because you're right, we're all like, that makes no freaking like sense. But if it was out of sequence storytelling, and then it comes back into, halfway through the movie, and we all go, yes, I see how it connects, then that would make sense. Otherwise, I'm just like, what? So... But he did confirm that, yeah, he had some nice scenes with Lois. They were small, but they were pretty much all cut. And then he said that Joss wiggled him in the prison scene, as I think the guard, but that was pretty much it, so which confirms to me that the whole flash drawing on the punk behind him was Joss, which kind of felt like it. I knew that was, but it just, what a great thing, because I will say, of all the things that I don't remember from the Superman films I grew up with, and I do love Christopher Reeves, I totally remember Mark McClure as Jimmy Olsen, and I don't know why. I think part of it is because he just kind of stuck out to me, and he was young, and he was kind of funny, and he was cute, and I don't remember when, but when everything's going to crap, he goes like to the back of his car and like karate chops the trunk to get it to open, as a kid I thought that was hilarious. And so it was really cool to see him there and talking about it, and the fact that they made efforts to bring him back, even in relation to Lois, and put him in Justice League. And I was bummed that all got whacked out, of course, because what a great opportunity, and that's really cool, and I totally appreciate the homage paid to him and his previous role. That's neat. So the more I find out about Justice League, the more angry I become. So this is why I'm bitter and disenchanted now. And this is why the minute it comes up, my daughter's like, "Oh no, don't get her started. She's just gonna hear it all again." I'm a very bitter person.
That's honestly my kid is gonna hear so much of this for the next several years.
He's gonna be like, "I wasn't even born yet, man." Yeah, that's okay. You're gonna hear about it. So.
Are you gonna raise your kid on the religion of Snyderism?
If they, I'm not gonna force them to. And honestly, I'm gonna wait a while before I show them the DCEU. At least like Batman and Superman and Man of Steel, because I think this might be a little dark for a little kid. But maybe when they're like 8, 9, once they get like a little older, so they can start understanding things better. Because like there were certain movies I saw as a kid where I probably shouldn't have, like Terminator 2. I probably shouldn't have seen as a kid.
Yeah. And I hear you. It's like, okay, what is appropriate and what is not appropriate? Like I didn't really feel that Batman v Superman was appropriate with some of my younger boys. But now that they're older, it's like, okay, we can probably do that. Man of Steel, yeah, we can do that. But you're right. You don't just jump right in and go, this is an easy kids movie.
Oh God, I know.
Talking about, Anyway, Terminator 2. What, Nick? How old were you?
I was born in 95, so it was like came out way before I was born. But I saw it. I was like 4 or 5 watching it for the first time because my stepdad, my stepdad had it on VHS and they put it on one day and I was like, well, because other than the gory stuff,
I was gonna say there's blood.
It's not like and it's. Because I was used to the language. Like, I grew up at the house with adults. Like, I heard the cuss words all the time. So, I wasn't, hidden from that. But, yeah, so that one, I don't know if, it scared me as a kid, the gory stuff, so.
I can believe it, and especially, I think, I'll bet you when he cuts his skin and pulls off the extra skin, to show his metal arm, that's for a kid, that's gotta be, what? And I'll bet you money that the changeling liquid metal Terminator had to be really scary. He pulls it off well for a 4-year-old. Holy crap, Okay,
but,
fair enough, yeah.
I mean, if anything, I'm more than I'm probably gonna get my kids into the DC animation at least, if they want to, my wife really wants to get her kids into that show Paw Patrol, because her cousin and her cousin, my wife's cousin has a 1.5, almost 2-year-old now, and all he does is watch Paw Patrol, and she's like, oh my god, we have to give our kid that. I'm like, okay, I guess.
When can I
make sure to show them the original Teen Titans cartoon?
I'll try.
Why would you hurt them in this way? Why would you set them up for a world of disappointment?
Well, I mean,
world to our children.
Well, I mean, maybe by the time my child's born, the show might be back. Who knows?
Oh, would be nice.
I'll give them a straight up say it. Spoiler alert for Teen Titans Go to the Movies, if any of you are even seeing that.
I'm still mad, Nick.
So spoilers, because I know Rebecca's big on spoilers. Sorry, Rebecca.
No, okay, I'll sit for this one.
So I've known this for a little over a week now, but the end credit scene for Teen Titans Go to the Movies has released online, teasing that Teen Titans, the actual original show from the early 2000s, might be coming back. And I knew about this about a week ago, but I heard from a person who heard from a person, so I wasn't sure how reliable the source was, so I didn't want to say anything because either to look dumb or to spoil the movie for anyone. But now it's all over Twitter and stuff, so everyone's getting spoiled.
What is the manner of the tease?
So it's cut up footage and Beast Boys trying to get the camera going, and they're like, well, we found a way. And Robin's like, oh, I think I found a way that we can come back, and they're all there in the original animation from the show, not Teen Titans Go, but the OG Teen Titans animation. And then it cuts to black.
Took them forever, huh? They couldn't have done this years ago. Honestly.
So yeah, that's the big thing from Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I was planning on going to the movies to see it, and now that the scene's leaked online, I have no reason to go. I mean, unless my little kid brother wants to go see it, then maybe. But I probably am not going to go see Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I know we were kind of talking about it before we started recording. But yeah, so
Amber says, if I have a kid, I'm just making them watch Kaleido Star 24/7. And Al says, Tara Strong said at a panel that if Teen Titans Go the movie does well, we'll get a season 6. And Amber says, I have such vivid memories of waiting until 4:30 on Cartoon Network to watch Teen Titans. I really love that show.
Into 4:30 in the afternoon or 4:30 in the morning? Because you're waiting until 4:30 in the morning, because then that's...
Must have been afternoon. I don't know.
Okay, PM. Okay, good. I was about to say, I wouldn't have had the energy as a kid to stay up that late or get up that early. God, no, that sounds awful. But yeah, so before we sign off here, was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up as far as the trailers or Comic-Con or?
Can we tear into Henry Cavill?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Damn it, I wish Danielle was here.
Didn't we talk about this last podcast or something?
No, we didn't.
We did it before we started recording.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
Guys,
We
okay.
talked about it today.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, and maybe it's kind of been brushed under the rug over the last few weeks, especially over a certain Marvel director's shitty behavior and overall shitty human beingness. So Henry Cavill, I don't remember what the magazine was, but he was interviewed somewhat recently.
Some Australian one. Australian GQ or something like that. I don't know.
Basically, they're asking his thoughts on the Me Too movement, and he made a comment along the lines of oh well, now I'm worried about asking a woman out because then she might think I'm a rapist, or something along those lines.
He said I might be accused of rape. Basically, he was saying, oh, I think a woman should be wooed and chased. Maybe I'm old-fashioned for thinking that, but I'm scared to ask people out because I might be accused of being a rapist. It's like, how could you think, like, what was it somebody said, like, if you didn't do anything, then you didn't do anything? Like, and I'm wondering, like, what kind of flirtation does he employ if it could be misconstrued as dangerous? Like, there must be something wrong with you if you're making people feel unsafe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here are my thoughts on the whole situation. I saw like a lot of fans being like, "Oh, this is just fake woke social justice warrior bull crap. Everyone's getting upset over nothing. Blah blah blah." Here's my thing. Let's say if like Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans had said this, you know the DC fandom would jump on them instantly. But because it's Henry, people were like, "Oh no, people are just overreacting," and blah 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 blah. Put away the fucking Marvel and DC fandom bullshit thing aside. He said something incredibly fucking stupid. Like, I was a huge Henry Cavill fan. Love his Superman. I will point out the fact that he did something incredibly fucking stupid. Do I think he's a rapist or anything like that? No. Do I think he's just a dude, bro, who said something stupid and doesn't actually seriously think about the things he says before he says them? Yeah, I do.
Yep.
Like,
he's talking out of his butt like an idiot.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying, like, I hate the guy, but, like, we need to call him out when he does shit like this. We need to call anyone out who does shit like this. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to, like, say, like, oh, well, like, he's just a normal person, like, we all make mistakes. No, like, yeah, like, we all make mistakes, but, like, he has a huge platform. He plays one of those iconic characters of all time. Like, you have to be so careful in everything you say, and, like, it just bothers me that he thinks that, like, oh, well, I might be accused of being a rapist. Don't be a fucking rapist, then! What the... Like, like, I don't understand. Like, okay, if you're old-fashioned, okay, fine, whatever. Like, you talking to a woman... I just feel like he's so uninformed of the actual situation. He's not actually, like, listening to those of the... To people, like, hurt by these men in the Me Too movement. He's not actually actively listening or actively being a part of, like, the positive change in this movement. He's just like, oh, well, I mean, now I'm just worried if I ask a girl out, she might not want to because she thinks I'm going to be a rapist. Like, no, dude, that's not it at all. Like,
yeah, well, it frustrates me because he already talked about, like, he says, yeah, and I know things need to change, and we're like, oh, cool, you know, he's recognizing, and then he comes out with that, and it's like, wait, what? You know, like, what the heck? I don't know. He talked about checking in with his female co-stars, you know, a couple times. You okay? That seemed kind of creepy, you know, and, you know, but he said he's never really been, you know, seen a whole lot of that, you know, in working on different films and stuff like that, except for a couple times, and then he'd check in with the girl. And that all seems great, and then he comes out with something dumb like that, and it's like, dude, there comes a point when your mouth is just running, and you need to think about what you're saying and shut up first, you know. And so, yeah, it sounded like a lot of ignorance coming out of him, you know. Of course he's not a rapist, but it's like, dude, you made yourself sound like such an insensitive idiot, you know. And dude, you know, you're better than that, man. Please, you know. So all I can say is that I deeply hope that he, like, will take this opportunity to learn, you know, and educate himself about, you know, maybe why that was such a problem, you know, because...
And I think he can. I think he will in the long run. Like,
it was very... Oh, dude, you know, it's like, that's a very... very bad look on you, and
I
you
know.
just made yourself sound like
and
stupid,
especially like
you know?
like a day later, my wife texts me because she didn't know, because obviously, like, because we're fans, because we knew about this stuff right away. The next day, I'm at work and my wife texts me and she's like, "Your boy is being problematic."
Literally, like one sentence sum it up. That's what happened.
And also, like, my wife hates, like, Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller, so she's, like, already has a sour note of, like, the DCEU cast. So, like,
she hates Ezra.
Yeah, she hates. I don't understand. She thinks he's obnoxious. She thinks he's, like, super annoying. She's like, oh my god, and then because, like, the other day it was brought up because, like, he was wearing, like the Toadette outfit from Comic-Con for his cosplay, and then she's like, oh my god, why was he wearing something so stupid? And I was like, babe, why do you like irrationally hate Ezra Miller? What did he do to you? And I think it's, like, partly because, like, she saw that movie of his, like, We Need to Talk About Kevin, where he plays, like a school shooter or something like that. So, like, so she kind of, like, associates that with him. But it's like, that was just a role he played. He's not actually a terrible person, I don't think. Like, he seems like a genuine, like, like goofy person. Like I don't see anything wrong with that. But like she also has an irrational hate of The Rock and Jack Black too. So I don't know.
The Rock. Jack Black ain't that bad. Come on. Jack Black is a little obnoxious, but The Rock.
She seriously is like, and I think like Al like mentioned one of the last times I talked about this, like his mom hates The Rock too, or like hates Jack. She hates like one of the two too. So like, my wife is one of very, very, very few people who hate The Rock and Jack Black with the fucking passion. Like,
can I just say hello, guys?
Oh hey Al.
Can I just say that yes, my mother too does not like The Rock.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was The Rock or Jack Black, but yeah, I remember that. But
all
thanks
I
for
want to know is
confirming
like,
that.
please give me your reasons because I'm utterly curious. Like, you know.
I don't know why she doesn't like The Rock.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing too is that like my wife never gives me a legit reason why she hates. Okay, like Ben Affleck. Okay, like I'll give her Ben Affleck because Ben Affleck has done some pretty shitty things.
He's pulled some stupids, and yeah, it's like no, that's fair, you know.
Like I like Ben Affleck. Okay, fine. Like I'm all, like at this point I'm only a fan of him and his portrayal of Batman in Batman v Superman.
I'm a fan of his Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I can recognize like same thing. I can recognize when he has done shitty fucking things. Like he cheated on his wife.
Yeah.
Like and what he did to that one reporter back in the day, that was totally fucking inappropriate and uncalled for. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Wait, what did he do?
He groped a reporter, and then it came up like in like the midst of like the whole like the beginning of the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was.
Sorry, I'm gonna read the comments. Yeah, from over here. Amber, this is talking about Henry. Amber says, what bothers me about his comments is that besides his ignorance, it gives detractors from the Me Too movement a voice. It gives really toxic people a reason to hate on the movement, which is fair. You know, like that was damaging and, oh, gosh. You're right, Amber. You're right. You know, and Al says, I don't like how his words create a connotation of. Oh my God! Hey, you're here. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I forgot.
What I was saying was, I don't like how the words create this sort of negative connotation, you know, to the movement that he's trying to do. It's like I always said, you never put famous people on some kind of pedestal because you end up getting disappointed afterwards.
Yep.
But one thing I don't like the most about it is how people won't admit that it's that, like his fans.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't like the actor, but you gotta admit that he was wrong at some point.
Yeah, the part that bothered me the most was that, like, instead of, like, acknowledging that what he said was stupid, I just saw a huge community of fans, of, like, Henry Cavill fans responding with, like, you know, even more thirst, even more appreciation for him, just to knock down the haters or whatever. It was just a bit frustrating for me. I was just like, can you, guys, I get it, but also can you not? Like, just...
see that, you know, I totally
Zach
see that.
needs to come and straighten out his children.
I totally agree with Al. Do not put human people on pedestals, ever. Famous or otherwise. Because you will be disappointed because we are all human and we all have flaws. And you cannot develop, you're right, Nick, this blind devotion to where it's like, no, that person's perfect, and even though this thing I'm looking at is incredibly wrong, you know, I'm going to defend it because this person's perfect. That is a very dangerous road to go down, and we cannot do that. So you're right, Nick, that's why it's like, you know, it's okay to admit, yeah, I like this guy, but this dude screwed up, you know. And Amber says, I saw people saying, you guys just proved his point. And like, we didn't. He said something stupid and should be called out. I think the biggest problem is that, like, if he's saying that because of the Me Too movement, I'm realizing that I might not know all the ins and outs of how to flirt or indicate to a woman I'm interested without going too far, that might be a legit point. But the way he phrased it was
horrible,
awful.
yeah.
And all he would have to do is say something to that effect and say, I'm willing to learn, or I'm interested in learning, because the last thing I would ever want to do is make somebody feel uncomfortable. You know, like, it would have made him sound so right, you know, but it came out bad. And it was like, dude, sometimes, you know, especially when you're talking to reporters, you've got to think about what's coming out of your mouth. You know, you can't just sit there and just talk off the cuff and assume that all is going to go well, because sometimes we all have stupid crap that comes out of our mouths because we didn't think it through, you know. And you, with the position that you're in, you know, and the status that you hold, and the fact that you're talking to a dang reporter, you've got to legit think through everything you say. And he did not, you know. And it was damaging to the movement, and it was damaging to just the idea see, like, women are just overly hysterical, you know, and it's like, no, we're not. You know, I have a chick who works at the gas station near my house who I always, to this day, thought her name was what was on her name tag, and it turns out it's not. It's a fake name, because her name is so unique that between our small town and her unique name, too many creepos who come into her gas station could find out who she is. And so she told her manager, I'm not wearing the tag. And he said, it's corporate, you have to. She said, I'm not wearing it. People find me, you know. And he said, okay, that's fine. And he made her a different one with a different name so that she wasn't breaking the rules, but she couldn't be found. Why should we have to go to those lengths, you know, to keep people from kind of creeping on you or being so interested that they go way over the line of what's okay? So, like, yeah, there's a problem here, and you cannot just say, well, I don't know what to do now. I'm scared, and therefore, like, imply that there's not really a problem, you know? So, yeah, he was wrong. He was wrong. Sorry, Henry, I love you, but you were, you know, and so I hope at the very least that he's teachable and that maybe he will go, okay, I need to actually pay attention and find out more about this and be educated and discover why this is a problem. Instead of, like, you know, and I'll say it, Zachary Levi made a complete and utter ass of himself and made me really, really, really dislike him to the point that I almost didn't watch the trailer for his movie, because it was like, dude, you're nasty, and that's not okay to just get crappy all over people trying to say, hey, this is why what you said was weird. You know, and so I deeply hope that Henry can, you know, take a moment of introspection and learn from this. But I don't know. That waits to be proven. So, sorry, go ahead.
Going off the idea of what you just said about, like, people saying that women are hysterical, I don't know, Nick, if you want me to name this person, but they're like he's a DCEU fan who's kind of like sort of popular film criticism YouTuber. Is it okay if I name the person or what?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So, Film Junkie Dave, I don't know what his last name is, but the Film Junkie made this video titled Henry Cavill Talks About the Me Too Movement, and I agree with him. And I knew before I watched it, I was like, oh dear God, here we go.
Sweetie, why'd you do that to yourself?
I was like, as soon as I saw the title, I was like, okay, I can't watch this guy's videos anymore. Like, I knew before that he was kind of like anti-feminist and stuff because just the way he talks. Not like misogynist, but like, you know, so those people who think that all feminists are like crap or whatever. So, or like he thinks most feminists are crap. Like, you know, you just read somebody and you just like can tell that they're not really, you're not feeling them. So, like, I had, like, kind of, like, ignored it for a while. Not, like, ignored it, but, like, not enough. Didn't bother me enough for me to stop watching his videos. And as soon as I saw the title of this video, I was like, oh, God, I'm not going to watch this guy anymore. So I watched the video just to, like, figure out, like, what this guy's position is, just to hear what his position is. And he said, like, you know, Henry's right. And then he said this sentence that I just could not get over. And he said, they got Morgan Freeman. They got Morgan Freeman. And I'm like, they came up in an alley and stabbed him and he was innocent and so pure, he died young. What are you talking about?
This isn't a war where Morgan they're looking Freeman, to take down people.
Yeah, and like the way he said, he was talking about like, oh, you know, they were saying that they had proof from this interview, but they didn't have proof. And I'm like, did you read the article? I think it was from CNN, I think. Or maybe it was Time. I don't know which one it was. But I read the whole article about Morgan Freeman. And there is a waterfall of accusations against this man, never ending. Yes, there was one lady who said that she interviewed him and they caught some of his comments on tape. But that's just one. There are a million other accusations. And the Dave is just talking like, oh my God, like they said they had an interview. They didn't have the interview. Like, he's innocent. And he said the sentence, they got Morgan Freeman. I'm just like, so now you're making this like some sort of war or something. You're making this like good versus evil. You're making this so that like, oh, women are just hysterical. Women just accuse men of stuff. And it's not true. And they're just they just make big things out of nothing. And they just get so emotional about these things. And it's not true. And I'm just like, how can you say that? Like, how can you agree with this horrifying statement from Henry Cavill?
That's what happens when you put yourself in a bubble and convince yourself it's true, So, and that's the thing. So,
and I'm not saying he's evil. I'm not saying he's like a terrible person, but like his opinions on some things is just like wrong,
And when he's not open to finding out anything else, he's formed his opinion, and that must be the truth. Which so many people are like this.
Amber says, "Hell, I saw people saying," and these are the Henry Cavill fans, I guess. She says, "Hell, I saw people saying that, quote, you guys just proved his point, unquote. And like we didn't? He said something stupid and should be called out."
Exactly. That's why I was so angry when people were like, oh my god, all these fake woke social justice warrior people is calling out Henry and blah, blah, blah. Put away your fucking thirst for Henry for a second. Put that away. Like, seriously, he did something shitty.
Yeah. And that's what I get pissed out about the most. This whole, all SJWs are these terrible people. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, some are, but not everyone is like that. Like, I can say the same thing about a lot of nerds, Like, look at the stuff with the Titans and Anna Deal.
Oh god, poor her. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm so proud
like,
of
so
her
many
cast
people.
member for sticking up for
Minka
her.
Kelly, yeah.
I'm like, thank you. That is exactly what needs to happen. And that is absolutely not okay.
No, okay,
it's
like
all over again.
like the whole thing, like you follow people from different fandoms, but it just so happens that they used to watch Teen Titans when they were younger, and then I had to unfollow them because they were like spewing Titan anti-hate.
Oh, I know, isn't it
all
terrible?
The hate, and I'm like, man, I wanted to follow you for your content, but like, man, why do you do this?
I've discovered
like I'll say this, like there's someone who like I've been following, like who has been a part of the Man of Steel fandom since like day one. They said some really stupid and offensive things about Titans, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. Like I was already kind of like on thin ice with that person. I'm not gonna say who, but after like nearly 5 years of following them, I'm done. Like,
Yep. And I totally agree. It's just amazing how things intersect, and then you go, oh, I followed you for this reason, but this is a deal breaker, and I'm out.
Yeah.
Amber says, to be honest, I said this on Twitter, but I do believe the movement hasn't gone far enough. Where are the reparations to the women whose careers got destroyed by Weinstein? So many talented women got their lives ruined, and they haven't been given their due. Hollywood still has a long way to go to make it up to this woman, and they haven't even done half of it.
Yep. And that's what, like, even like my dad, like, when more people were getting called out, I'm like, and my dad, like, and of course, like, I'm not surprised my dad said this. My dad's such a dude, and he's like, oh my god, this is turning into such a witch hunt, and I'm like, oh, so all of a sudden, like, the fact that people are getting fucking harassed and basically and like raped and like sexually harassed, that's okay, but because it's a male actor, like, oh, it's a problem to you, Dad? Okay, so like, granted, I didn't say that because like I don't like instigating drama like that in my family, but like. Just my dad can be so close-minded of stuff like that sometimes. People in general can be so close-minded. That's why this whole Henry thing, like, I unfollow like a bunch of people because like all of a sudden like their bias showed. Like once something that hit like someone specifically in the DCEU, we were all like, people showed their true colors. Really, like they showed that they don't actually believe in the movement. I think it's like some people showed that actually don't believe in the movement, and that they just want to keep thirsting over the DCEU actors no matter what. Like I feel like if it came out that like Henry Cavill actually raped someone, there probably would have been a ton of people who were like, oh well, do we really believe these accusations and blah blah blah. Like this could have been another one of those instances where people just did it because he's famous and blah blah blah. Like
I actually think the opposite would happen. Because you know how the DCEU isn't, favorably liked. I think people would literally go right at.
I'm talking about the Henry Cavill
some
fans.
Some of the DCEU fans would pick.
The DCEU fans. Yeah, they would.
Like, because the thing is, like, I thought people would have actually like taken the chance to actually call out Henry. Because remember when Ben was called out, we all called him out too. We said, hey, like this is shitty.
Yeah.
But we're still a fan of his Batman. But we're not fans of his behavior, where we don't
his actions. Yep.
Yeah, we actually called him out. Why can't we do the same for Henry? Like,
Because
I don't.
Henry's our darling child and he can do no wrong or something.
He's our darling child, but sometimes your darling child screws up. And as a parent, you don't say, darling child, I love you, and anything you do is okay, I will turn a blind eye. You say, child, you screwed up. It's time for you to fix this, because this is not okay. That's what you do as a parent. So, sorry, Henry, but Mama says no. And you gotta fix it.
That sounds very kinky.
Mm-hmm. And then that's like I want to say this, like, for anyone who's listening, and I know there's probably gonna be some comments from people saying like, you guys are just overreacting. This is just social justice warrior, blah blah blah. First of all, if you comment anything like that, you're blocked, and you're not commenting on our videos anymore. Like, fuck you. Like, I don't care. Like, if you're not actually gonna sit and actually listen to why we have these problems, this isn't like social justice warrior propaganda. This is just calling out shitty behavior when it's shitty behavior.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, stop, like, put away your fucking fanboy tendencies to side. Like, this is the real world. These are real life fucking issues. Like, stop caring about the cape shit for 2 seconds and actually listen. It's, yeah. So, just FYI to the people who are thinking of being like, oh, well, this is just, like, feminist, social justice warrior propaganda, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, and we don't want you here.
Knows how to say it, but at the same time, I will say to any listeners who have issues, like, no offense, but have you listened to us for a while? We haven't changed any. Like, we haven't changed our minds. If you're surprised on this and need to comment on it, then no offense, but why are you listening if you fully disagree? Like, you know where we stand. We haven't moved. If you don't like it, that's totally okay, and go find something that you do like. But we're not going to change, so making comments about it and getting all funky isn't going to do anything for us. I mean, Nick's right, go ahead and find something you like. It's cool, but we haven't changed anything, and we're not going to change. So, we are what we are.
Yeah.
And Amber says, anyone who uses SJW as an insult should be blocked, to be honest.
Yeah.
True that.
Also, if they say cuck, that's a bad sign. Anyone who says cuck, like, just know, like, okay.
What does that mean? Tell me.
It means short for cuckold, which means that it's like a cuckold is a man whose wife is cheating on him, but the way they use it is just anybody. You could be single and still they call you a cuckold. They call everybody a cuck. They don't know who you are. They don't know whether you're in a relationship. Basically, what it means is the kind of white knight thing, where like, oh, you're a man, but you're pretending to be feminist because you want to get girls, and so they just call everybody a cuck and say that, oh, women are taking advantage of you with their feminism. They're demasculizing. How do they say that?
Masculinization?
De-emasculating you.
Yeah, okay.
You're a cuck.
Yeah.
They just throw cuck around everywhere.
What a way to ruin a word.
I thought it meant a dude who is happy that his girl is cheating on him, and he gets he gets excited about that. I thought that's what that meant.
No, some people like it as a sexual fetish, but other cuckold just means that the wife is cheating on you. You could be happy about it, you could be miserable about it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I've seen that phrase in books. So, wow.
Christ. Why the English word?
And Amber was saying, "Oh no, child, don't explain it to her." Too late, sorry, Amber.
We've gotten to an interesting place. But all I can say is that, Henry, thank you for not being like James Gunn, because then I would have to publicly disown you, and and not just tell you were wrong, but that I could never ever see anything you do again. So please take a moment to think and to learn and to listen to others. And I don't think Henry's a bad person, but I do think he was talking out of his butt, and he was amazingly ignorant. And he has a real good opportunity here to learn and to grow, and I hope he takes that. And Amber says, Nick, tell the audience we hate James Gunn. I have to admit,
oh yeah, fuck them.
Just reading his tweets made me ill, and it was like, oh, I will never ever in my life ever excuse that guy or see anything he does again. And honestly, I was kind of like, wow, didn't realize Disney would drop him that fast, but that's fair. Like, wow. Absolutely not okay. And even if he didn't meet any of them and was trying to be edgy and get attention, even if he has grown since then, it's like, dude, that was way beyond the line. Yeah, it's like, no. This is not okay. So, yeah.
Say it like full sentence, Nick, like you did with Josh. With Joss.
Okay, so, James Gunn... I'm sure, like, you guys are aware of the situation.
Whoa, Danielle's here! Danielle's tight.
Wow!
Danielle, yay!
Okay. She seconds Amber's he shouldn't have been hired in the first place.
Okay, awesome.
Good girl.
Danielle, we've missed you. In case I don't know if you can hear us, but
Amber says, "Go off, Danielle."
Okay, she's typing. I'll let her go. But yeah, before we get into the whole James Gunn thing, fuck him. That's all.
Yeah.
That's how I'm prefacing this conversation.
Not okay. So yeah, no.
Nick saying "F you" is just like iconic at this point. Like every time somebody he doesn't like, it's just like "F you," and that becomes the official point of the podcast.
Yep. like Amber just said in conclusion, fuck him. That's basically my argument. I haven't even began my argument, but that's just the sum of it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Danielle said fuck James Gunn. We've been talking about how he's garbage since he was hired, and no one listened until some alt-right douches said what we've been saying for years.
Yeah,
yes.
We're not saying we agree with the alt-right, but we are saying, no. Yeah.
And the fact that Disney kept him in their pocket for years, and like he never deleted his tweets until someone pointed him out, and then he made a tweet. He accidentally tweeted him searching for the years so he can delete them.
Oh my god!
Somebody was in legit panic mode because he tried to put in the search bar James Gunn from this time to this time and tweeted it. Holy crap, dude! Way to broadcast to everybody that you have something to hide and that you're trying to clean it up. I mean, wow! I just don't think this could get any worse. Oh, look, it has, because they all have the screen caps and they're putting your stuff online and it's making me ill to read it. Okay, it can get far, far worse. Like, wow.
Yeah, and I've read all of those.
Earlier, like, it may not be 10,000 bad tweets. It may not be that many, but the fact that he doesn't know the number well enough that he just goes in and deletes an entire time period. What, 2 years? Did somebody say 2 years? You know, because it would obviously take too much time to ferret in and out and find them all, which means there's still a huge number. Yeah, it does not look good for you, man. And, like, if you were going to do this, you should have done this the moment Guardians of the Galaxy was successful, you know, but whatever. So
yeah, but I've had the displeasure of having to read all of those tweets. Like, I think I've posted them on the podcast, but no, I've read most of them. They are just...
Why did you do that to yourself?
Because I'm a masochist. I like to... But anyway, God, like... I was saying this on the podcast, like, it makes no sense why this dude would make 10,000 rape and pedophile jokes. Like, I can understand, like, say, maybe one or two, but 10,000?
Yeah, I'm like,
obviously,
I was just trying to be funny and edgy and get attention, and it's like, that's a lot for just
trying. Well, you got your attention.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there are comedians who make jokes about that kind of stuff, but they don't like the amount of them that he made. Like, and I'm not saying that like all 10,000 of those tweets, like you said, like it was like a time period, and he just didn't even like look for specific ones because it was just too many. Yeah. But like the amount
started to get backlash to that kind of comedy, and so it's like, you know, like if you wanted attention, you know, you chose a bad way to get it, and you got the attention. You know, like
it's almost like he's obsessed with it. You know, that's why I think that there's something wrong with him. Because I mean, look at Louis C.K. and he was always making masturbation jokes, and then it comes out that
lo and behold,
harassing those people and doing all those gross things.
Yeah. It doesn't look good. It really doesn't. It was like nope. You know. That's,
I remember I was in an argument with someone on Instagram about this kind of thing too, where he was saying like, it's just a joke. You don't have to take it seriously. It's like, I am gonna take it seriously because it's something that you take seriously.
Yes.
Like,
And Amber says right here.
Jokes about that.
Yeah, jokes like that enable the behavior, and she's entirely right. That's not okay. You know what I mean? No. That's not okay.
And now there's this,
No.
And now there's this whole what do you call it? Petition. There's this whole petition that has about 300,000 or 300 million. I don't know how many, but it's got so
300,000. Yeah.
Want him back. Yeah, it's like 300,000. Like that, just want him back, and it's like, why? Like, we know he's a terrible person. Why would you want him back? Because he made a cheap movie about a talking raccoon and tree?
Apparently
like, come
so.
on.
Okay.
I'm like, that's the price of a soul? I didn't realize it was going that cheap. Our society is in trouble, guys. You know, this is
The petition says that 323,402 have signed, and the number is going up as I'm looking at it.
Jesus.
No. And I will say it, like, the closest I ever come to putting somebody on a pedestal is Zach, but I try really hard not to because I know he is a human man. But I will say, if this kind of stuff came out for him and he got booted like James had been, I would not sign that petition. As much as I adore his work, as much as I think he's a wonderful man, I would be like, no, I'm sorry. That's not okay. And these are the consequences that come for that. And no, I'm not going to petition for you to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
You gotta separate the morality.
Yeah, it's not okay. There's movies you like, but then there's reality. And no. Nobody is immune to that. Nobody. I don't care if you made movies you like. You know? Amber says acknowledges toxic abuse haven't made it into the MCU films. Just look at how he treated the women in his movies. She's right. You know, Ugh, no.
Did you guys see the Zack Snyder video though? The one that he like asked he like.
Oh, he did that a comedy show?
Yeah. Oh, he did what? Okay.
Like this comedian. Yeah,
a stand-up comedian. Oh my gosh, it was the best thing. Sorry, do you want to describe?
Wait, please break down what you're talking about.
There's a stand-up comedian, and he's doing his stick on stage, you know, and it's being filmed. And he looks out into the audience, and we can't see who the audience member is, but, you know, because they're recording him. And he says, "What's your name?" And the dude goes, Zach, you know, and he's God. Oh, what's that? He goes on for like 3 or 4 minutes about like how Zach looked annoyed when he was asked for his name, you know, like, oh, how dare they ask for my name, blah, 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 whatever, you know, because he's being a comedian, you know. But then he goes, so what do you do? And Zach says,
oh my God.
He says, I'm a movie director. And he says, what kind of movies do you direct? And Zach went, that one moment I kind of heard from him, I was like, oh God, I think he's afraid to say because he's afraid he's going to get roasted right here for all of his films.
He makes action movies?
Last that he's gotten. But so he says, and then the guy goes, oh, that's where you're lying, you know, and he goes, and he starts to go off on that riff, and then Zach interrupts him and goes, how many directors do you know that start with Zach? And the guy goes, Zach Snight? He barely gets snotty out. He goes, that's me. And the guy goes, oh, and realizes that he completely forked up. And it was awesome, you know. Then he's laughing, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, hey, you know, like if you need a Robin, I'm totally there, man." And you know, like, and he's like, "I just totally screwed up," and everybody's laughing. It was great. Zach just kind of turned the moment and owned it, and was such a good sport. He took a picture with the guy afterward, and the guy was like, "Thanks for being a good sport, Zach," and you know, and I was like, I was laughing so hard because it's a beautiful thing. We got to find the link and put that on there, but it was fabulous. I was really laughing, and it was nice to see such a lovely good thing.
Because I did not hear that it was a thing.
Oh, it's so funny! It only came out the last few days.
You need to get on Twitter because that's how we find out about these things.
Yeah, it's true. Oh gosh.
Or just follow these guys on Tumblr because I get all my secondhand information from them. I'm too lazy to maintain it.
Well, to be honest, I'm not the most reliable on Tumblr anymore because I'm barely on there as it is. Like all I do is read blogs.
My Twitter is dead.
None of you talked about it.
Yeah.
My Twitter is dead.
I cannot believe
the only thing that's up there is just my YouTube videos.
Nah, I'm just on Tumblr, so I just follow like you guys and other DC bloggers, and I get my information from there. So I'm always like a day late, but like, you know, I get my info.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I spent for years, like I was just primarily on Tumblr, And then I don't know what it was. I started like slowly transitioning to Twitter, and now like Twitter is where I spend like the majority of my time now. Like that's why I interact with like Katie.
And I hate it. What an awful place. And now look, I'm on Twitter more, and I've been on Tumblr for years, and yet lately, part of it's I've been really busy. Life is accelerating, so I don't have as much time.
Mhm.
But I'm just not on Tumblr as much, and I'm kind of weirded out by that, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. The weird thing is, I feel like Tumblr is like, ever since Justice League, has kind of become like a barren wasteland of what it used to be. Like I just feel like it's just like. There's still like the occasional post, but I just feel like the fandom on Tumblr is just like slowly non-existent.
I feel like there's not as good a conversation anymore like we used to have. That's part of why I got on Tumblr in the first place. I love having conversation and in-depth and you know, talking about things and tearing things apart and all that kind of thing about films and TV and all that kind of thing. I love that kind of stuff. That's why I went to Tumblr in the first place. And I agree, it feels like a lot of that has dried up. And then, of course, when the veneer comes off, as it does anywhere, you know, and you realize the nasty side of Tumblr, that kind of takes the, you know, the shine off of it. And then, you know, yeah, everything's just kind of dried up lately, and I don't know, it has become less interesting, so that's probably part of more why I drifted away, but I don't know. People are people. Alright, still looking for that link, I'll find it for you guys.
Well, Danielle said, like, back when we were talking about James Gunn 3 minutes ago, she says, literally, he has been causing actual harm since he started, and so many folks think he shouldn't be held responsible for any of it. Then Amber says, yeah, I'm more on Twitter, too, right now. Gotta love Twitter fights. And then I went back into my blog to when the Wonder Woman review embargo lifted, and oh boy, what a day that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like I don't know. Again, like I just feel like I feel like the last time like the fandom was truly like still like as strong as it was like right before Justice League, and then Justice League came out, and then like I kind of feel like a lot of us have been like slowly like going towards Twitter and Vero now.
Yeah, I like Vero. It's a very quiet place.
Yeah, Vero's still pretty quiet. Like it's not like yeah. I mean, I like Vero. It's just not like as nearly like as like. I don't go there like all the time. I'll go there like a few times a week, but not like.
Yeah. And same here, you know. But I like it because when Twitter gets to be too awful, it is delightful to just go to a quieter, nice place. Can I just say? Yeah. So.
Wait, did we talk about Titans yet?
What?
I don't know, did we ever talk about Titans yet? Because I was kind of out of the loop.
Wait, Teen Titans or like the Anadiah Titans?
Trailer that dropped.
Well, I mean that's not like entirely like even though we go off topic, that's not entirely DCEU related. But we can talk about it briefly if you guys want to.
That's what I want. I don't know.
I thought it had too much blood in it, but it was fine.
I'm high-key fine with it. I refuse to dislike it. That's all. I'm with myself.
Yeah,
unless it's absolutely shit and does something to completely alienate me, I'm gonna stubbornly like it. You know?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I say there was too much blood, I don't mean that I don't like blood, because I do. I like that Gotham has blood. I like that I think of another DC show that has blood in it, but I can't really. But you know, I like that they're not afraid to show the violence and everything. But it's the fact that the trailer had like a lot of violence in it. I would have preferred more character moments in the trailer instead of showing the fight scenes. But
I can get that. But I've like, and Amber just said I like the trailer and I will fight anyone who didn't. I'm right there. Like I loved the trailer. I mean, like maybe the music choice could have been a little better, but like the moment that Robin says "fuck Batman," you know you're in for something different.
Like, that's 100% Dick Grayson.
And it's funny because like there's so many people who are like, oh my god, that's so not Dick Grayson and blah blah blah. Okay, have you only ever watched the Teen Titans cartoon? Because that's the moment that like Dick Grayson became Nightwing, that is so 100% Dick Grayson. Like, are you kidding me? Like
no,
this.
I don't understand. Like, what Dick Grayson are they basing it off? Like, literally, there's not a single version of Dick Grayson that which isn't angsty as hell. The boy became Robin after watching two of his parents literally die in front of him. Like, that's dark. He was raised by Batman. That is also dark. Like, I mean, maybe the original run of the Teen Titans was like a bit light and fluffy, but that is like 0% the Titans that, you know, cemented its legacy. That's 0% the Titans that actually had any impact on culture. So people are just doing this because like, I think maybe it's just like the fandom conception of Dick Grayson as like the light and fluffy Robin, which is like, fine, your fandom conception, but also fake. You know, like it's just really dumb and like really close-minded. And it just feels like, you know, unless it was everything people wanted it to be, people would just have hated on it. You know, unless it fulfilled that very specific fandom interpretation of what Dick Grayson has become. Like the way like fandom started to perceive him in recent years is, you know, the fluffy Robin and all the Bat Fam stuff. You know, I love Bat Fam. I would die for a show about that. But you know, that's not the show they're going for. That's not the version of Dick Grayson that they're trying to adapt. You know, and like that the Dick Grayson that we got in the trailer might not be the one that everyone wishes existed, but it's an honest portrayal. It's a realist. It's a portrayal that, like, you know, lines up with what we've seen of Titans. You know, every version of the Titans that have been like in official media in the comics. You know, it's been there. This is the Dick that it was there. You know, if you read the original '80s run, that's the Dick that was that came from that split from Batman. You know. Like, okay, I would have preferred if they made him Nightwing, because that would line up perfectly with, like, you know, that angst fuck Batman character arc. You know, but like, I don't know. It's just really frustrating that people are hating on it.
I think. But yeah, I think for me is that like, I'm watching this show for two reasons. The first one being, you know, Robin saying fuck Batman. I think that fits very well with this version of Robin, this version of Dick, because you have to remember, this is Dick coming off of being trained under Batman, and we all know how Batman can be when it comes to taking on Robins. You know, he makes them into hardened vigilantes, and even in the description, they said Robin has felt like he is, you know, he was trained to be a soldier. And, you know, the interesting thing that we'll be seeing is, you know, probably Dick trying to get out of that soldier mentality, which isn't easy for him because he's been under Batman's guidance for so long. And it's kind of expected that he'd be kind of a bit, you know, angsty, edgy, and a little rougher, because that's how he was trained. And when you're put into that environment for so long, you tend to carry on the attributes of, you know, who's training you, sort of like a father. So, you know, like father, like son, and all that. So it'll be interesting to see how Dick will, you know, grow out of that and possibly be a little more, you know, like the comic book, like the more later comic book versions of him, you know, with the whole charming, witty humor and all that. And the second reason I'm watching this is because I want to support Anna Deal and be on her side to the point where I will literally watch all of these episodes, and I will literally punch every nerd in the face when her actual costume is revealed, and it ends up being the greatest Starfire costume ever to be seen. Just saying.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. And also, Danielle, we're still waiting on you to actually get the DC streaming service so we can all bum off your account. So just let us know.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, because the DCEU streaming, the DC Universe streaming service is available for pre-order, I think. So it's like it's like close to $80 for like, and you get like 15 months worth of the subscription, which I think is pretty cool. But like, I don't have that kind of money to just drop on and give an instant. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah. So I think with that being said, I mean, was there anything else you guys want to talk about before we head off?
Amber says every character is true to their comic book selves, to be honest. And I'm glad that Minka Kelly was so ride or die for Anna Diop.
Yeah, I was happy about that too.
Yeah, I was so proud. It was like, thank you. This is honestly what Candace should have got when she got, and still is getting, huge backlash for playing Iris. You know, the cast.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Ranks around and go, dude, no, we support this. You know, and I love her. I'm so proud of Minka Kelly. Thank you, and I agree. I'm right up just on the basis of the fact that she's getting so much crap, I'm like, this is bull. She should be allowed to play, the part, so everybody shut up. That's all I know about the character, but I'm behind it now because I don't appreciate people being that awful. So, you've made a fan out of me.
Alright, so I think with that being said, I think that's going to be it from us. So, yes, if you guys disagree with us on anything we said here today, at least, if you're going to disagree, do so in a calm and mature way. I know I said fuck you to a lot of people, but that's only to the immature.
Only people who deserved it, Nick.
Yes. Yeah, so basically, I said that to the immature assholes who don't want to have a discussion and just want to be assholes. If you want to have a legit discussion and a dialogue about anything we said here, do so in a calm and collected way, and we'll discuss it as it comes up. But yeah, otherwise, we think what we think, and nothing's gonna change that. So, yeah. So, thank you guys all for being here. So if you guys want to go around and tell everyone where they can find you online.
I forgot to do in the beginning, by the way.
I know.
Totally did.
I mean, I remembered, but I didn't say anything because I never say anything.
I did too, but it's okay. All right, I'm Katie, and I'm Story Advocate on Tumblr.
Yeah, go.
I'm Jean and I'm Bad Activity on Tumblr.
I'm Al Speed, and I am Speed of the Oppressed on Tumblr.
I'm Rebecca, and I'm the Endeavor Network on Tumblr. And Amber is by Witch of the West on Tumblr, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's also Danielle. She's a Social Justice League on Tumblr. She's also the Bravest Heart on Twitter. If you guys want to follow her there. And then of course you guys can find me. I'm at just look up at @TrueManOfSteel_ on Twitter. That's where I'm at. And then I'm also sometimes on Tumblr. I'm also on Vero. If you guys want to look up my name, Nick Crocker, that's who I am. So thank you guys again. This discussion was a lot of fun, and I'll talk to you guys soon. And thank you guys all for listening. Again, if you disagreed, do so in a calm and collected way. We will try to be mature here. Again, I may not be always the most calm and collected person, but I try to be. But sometimes I fail. But thank you guys for listening. What do you guys think of the Aquaman trailer, Shazam, any of the things we talked about? Send your thoughts in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for all of our other content. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, have a good one.